Hello, screeners. How are we doing?
Not good.
What's up, bro? What's up?
This list, this fucking list.
This is one of your creations that I just sit back and I go, it is what it is. This light is playing up again. Yeah. Did you see a change of shade there?
I did, yeah, but it's fine. You've just gone a matrix.
Yeah, it's literally just a wire.
Spoiler.
There we are. So yeah, it's one of those lists that I was like, do you know what? At one point, I'd done a like King of the Ring Battle Royal, like World Cup brackets. And
Literally.
And I just had to be like, well, this year versus that year, this was that. I tried to omit this year, and I'm still not happy with the list. that's just the way it is.
And who are you? Before we carry on,
yeah, I am the one AJ Anthony Jordan. Sorry, guys, it's been a bit.
And I am. Y'all know me as Double V. I am Nico Lurot, the Viceroy of Verisimilitude, and so lacking verisimilitude this week.
Say that again.
There is no appearance. I said that I lacked verisimilitude this week strongly. There is no appearance of being real with this list. This list changed literally up until an hour ago. Gavin, man, I love you. Go fuck yourself. Because Gavin shares. This is where sometimes being on Twitter is a problem, because obviously I'm the one moderating it. People start sending me all of their movies, and it's like, oh shit, I forgot that.
That's what you meant to not let that influence.
Normally it doesn't. There was one that came up. I was like, well, I can't be fucking with that. Like, if I tell you how many times I've taken a movie in and out, reshuffled the movie's position, just the only consistency with this list has been that my number one from the get-go has remained the same. Didn't change. That's the only consistency.
Even now, as I'm uploading, because I've been slightly delayed today, even now, I'm still not sure. Like, I'm uploading and I'm like, I may rearrange the order. Like, bottom four are kind of like big, but I just don't know which way to go. I really don't. And I just want to break. I know what worst is. I kept saying I know what worst is, and I didn't get the image for worst. So that's also very interesting.
So even worse, I struggled with, but in the end, there was one movie that makes my piss boil more than any, and it's not Revenge of the Sith. But just look at the 21st century, where you and me, the journey that you and me have been on as friends. I mean, bro, 2000 to 2006, we were still at school. Like,
I know,
fucking 2006 to 2015, I was living on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And like 2015 up until now, man, I've got married and become a dad. And like throughout all of this crazy time, the amount of movies that I have watched is astronomically large.
I believe that.
And it's how to do this into 10. I'm not even going to give a big preamble about how I pick my 10. I'm literally just going to it's almost going to have to be a kind of self-defense against myself throughout this.
You know what? I'm doing something now, and I'm like, I don't want that there. I'm going to go for another route. I'm literally doing this now. This is the challenge that has been bestowed upon us, guys. Because, quite frankly, I don't think it is possible to do a top 10 of any given.
It's not doable.
Century. I was going to say like decades. No, it's a century worth. I mean, yeah, we've only got 20 years so far, but that's that. You know, if you were to go back, but yeah, 20 years of film. 22, if you want to be particular.
22 years of film, but what I'd like to also reflect on is 22 years of film, bro. It's been a journey for the two of us on this podcast, man.
It has. Is a big deal. That's a different story in itself. That in itself is like when you think 200 episodes, you sit there and you're like, wow. You know, do you know the mad thing is when you look at the journey, and I'm slightly more consistent now and stuff, but from episode 1 to 100 felt like forever.
Right.
Not in a bad way.
No,
from 100 to 200.
This is gone.
I remember doing a live episode for episode 100.
For the first time ever, yeah.
During lockdown. And I'm like, so how are we here now? Like, that's not meant to be a thing. That really isn't.
It's insanity. How quickly I'm completely with you. 0 to 100 was like, let's see where this goes. At 100, you know you're in this for the long haul.
Yeah.
And this long haul's become really fast.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna get rid of that. Sorry, I'm listening to you. I'm gonna have to lock it in there. But yeah, it's one of these mad journeys, and I'm like, here's the funny thing: is this journey from being. Let's go from episodes 1 to 100, right? And I'm not gonna drag too long because we want to get into the show. We had a delete episode because we had go-tos.
Episode 50.
Even though we claim to be the episode, the home of edutainment, it was this one, these go-tos. And I'm not going to lie, some of the go-tos make a reoccurrence here because it's the near and dear. So if you're going to talk about the best films, it's kind of in that range.
Yeah.
However, the education that has come along the way, and I'm not going to say it's just 21st century, it's the old school.
It's everything.
It's the classics of our time that you didn't get a chance to see when they came out and revisit based on subjects.
Bro, it's not even just the classics of our time. It's the hidden gems. It's the movies that under no circumstance would you, in your private time, have actively chosen to go and see.
Yeah.
It's the shithousery that we've had to watch along the way and gone, I wish I hadn't given you 2 hours of my time.
Yeah, it's literally all of that. So it's a mad journey of, wow, okay. So I didn't even know how to break this down because at one point it was that. Then I was like, let's do it by category. Let's do this genre and that genre. And I was like, I'm going to do that. Then
not doable.
The week has also been a bit challenging, so it's not been the best for it. And then I'm like, I'll be honest with you. At one point I had actually like pre-made a list and I was like, this seems too basic. And ever since then, it's been tickling me to like change it. A few changes here and there. But yeah.
I'd like to take this moment to say, what have I learned about you over the course of 200 episodes? Well, 3 things are sure in life: death, taxes, and AJ talking about comic book movies.
That's true.
That became a thing. You are, and all of this is said with love. You are the world's biggest hype man, and I love you for it. What I mean by hype man is if
AJ hit me because that's an interesting one.
I'm sure the regular viewers and the regular listeners will agree with this. If AJ has seen a new movie, for the purpose of research, the chances that it's going to make your list just on the basis that it's a new movie you've watched, and I'm not talking about season 5, I'm talking about across 5 seasons, is very high. And the chances that it's not only going to make your list, but it's going to make your list high, like position 1 through 3, is ridiculously high. You're a hype man, and I love it.
Here's the funny thing with that is that I find the new films to me they're never middle ground. They're normally very low or very high. Very rarely are they number 1. I'll give it that.
Mm-hmm.
But they kind of take middle ground. You'll find that it's not exactly always number 10, but it'll be like 8, 9, possibly a 5. Very lucky it'll hit a 4. And then it'll get the 4-3. Never be a 1. It's been worse. There have been worse occasionally, not often.
I've also discovered that you're a man capable of delivering a hook from around the world when it comes to your movie selections. One, in surprising me, like, where the fuck did you hear about this movie from? Well done, sir. 2, in thinking of movies that I fucking forget and making me hate myself for it. You're very good at that too.
Thank you. I mean, this
what have you learned about me? Come on.
Here's the one that I've learned. I think it's really weird because Journey, it felt like, we both knew films, and I realized that I've not watched as many. So one thing I did appreciate was how deep your film knowledge was. Really appreciated that. Had to really take that in as a wow, okay. So I thought I knew movies. He knows movies. Like, I'm mad enough to admit that. The other side was the, can I call it artistic, quirky side of your film appreciation? It's the sort of films like where we'll have a clash over stuff like Hippopotamus, where you'll be like, I'm like, film. What the hell? Your appreciation for fantasy and my disdain for fantasy are 2 very different approaches. They are that. And I think the biggest one, and again, this is with love, it's the stuff you can't unsee. It's like, bro, just sit back and enjoy the movie. I beg you. It's like, no, but it's like, and don't get me wrong, I get those moments, but they're more few and far between, and that's what I've realized. I've also realized the appreciation of film. The appreciation of film are I shouldn't say very different. Where again, it comes back with these parts that you can't unsee. I'll sit back and I'll just watch a film. Let's take last week, for instance, where you will talk about. Is it Wes Anderson?
Oh yes, my guy.
and you'll talk about the parallels and the this, and I'm like, I probably would, and I don't know how many times you've seen Grand Budapest, right? And maybe it's a spoiler. Twice, right? There we go. Probably about 3 to 4 times of catching the story, paying attention, and I'll be like, I see the symmetry. That would not cross my mind. So it's that study in the art of film that I've also learned to appreciate from you. So I was like, you know what?
Oh, mate, that's sweet.
Yeah. There we go.
Well, we're not going to do a big 30-minute preamble this week, but let's see who's in the house on episode 200. Who is here from our film family? Will Johnson is here. I got myself a ticket for the re-release of Spider-Man No Way Home. Good for you, Will. You go and enjoy that.
I saw the advert on Insta that they're doing this, so that's quite interesting.
Francis Lalonde is here. Happy birthday, Silver Screen Dudes. Thank you, Francis. Greatly appreciated. Lovely to have you here. Who else is here? Pedro Santos is here. Congratulations on making it to episode 200. Quite the discipline and dedication on your part. It's our pleasure. Gavin Man 001, the platinum silver screener, is here. Good evening, Silver Screen Dudes. Did you get your second telegram from the Queen? Looking forward to what you have on your lists. More than you don't have. Francis Lalonde says, MCU limited to one phase.
Well, there's one per phase.
Yeah, that's a dig at you, that one, my friend.
It could well be, and I wouldn't be I wouldn't be offended. I'm not going to lie to you guys. There are 2 comic book movies in there. One from each brand. That's it.
One for me. One for me.
Do you know what? I didn't even want to do 2. It actually pissed me off to do 2. But I actually looked at the structure of the other film, and I was like, I'll give it to you.
Then the text in the house. Hey. Francis Lund, the list. Andy Hart is joining us again. Good evening, gents. It's been a while.
How are you?
It has been too long. Gavin Mann says, happy haircut, Nico. Haircut, brother.
Double ponytail that.
Brother, we're double ponying at the moment. Are you mad? Francis Lawn says, I'm with Bracket Man. Who else have got? Riri Thomas is here. Hello, Riri. Hey, this is going to be tough. Hope you're okay, and congrats on 200 shows. Been here since the top 10 Bond films and love it all since. My kind of channel. Riri, thank you. Appreciate you. Francis Lalonde is poking fun at me already. No time to die. As is Harry's boy. Welcome back, Harry's boy. No time to die. Absolutely not. Pedro Santos calling Lord of the Rings for Nico's number 1. Stay tuned to find out.
I kind of have that feeling too, if I'm honest.
We can stay tuned to find out. We shall see. Gavin Mann says, can't wait for next week's episode when they do 20th century films. We have something planned for next week for episode 201, and then we'll get back to just doing normal episodes. Stay tuned for that too. It's equally fucked up. Pedro Santos says, suggestion, maybe quickly name 5 films that almost made your list. I like this suggestion. So here's what I'd like to do. Let's do poker facing. I'm going to quickly go through a list of films that nearly made my list. If they're on your list, just cover your mouth. Don't give me any signal. Don't respond. Don't do anything. There is a plethora of films that you know that I fucking love that I couldn't fit in. Namely, and this one weirdly probably hurts me the most. Straight Outta Compton. I couldn't find space for it. Stings me like a motherfucker. Inception. I couldn't fucking find space for Inception. That hurt me. More left the field one, but one that really stuck with me. We Need to Talk About Kevin. Couldn't make my list, and I fucking love that film. 13th, the Netflix documentary, couldn't make my list. Parasite didn't make my list. The Wolf of Wall Street didn't make my list. Spoiler, Leo DiCaprio and Martin Scorsese and Christopher Nolan are not on my list, which is a fucking fallacy when you think about the 21st century. Apropos, the amazing French movie, didn't make my list. Gomorrah didn't make my list. And the one that really hurt me because I watched it specifically for this fucking top 10, talk about you being a hype man. I wanted to put this on because Mixed Memorabilia has talked about it so much. Gangs of West Sapor. Loved it. It's not making it to the top 10. AJ?
I haven't got the direct list in front of me because it's actually on notes, so actually I could find it. For a fact, John Q hurt me. Just until very recently, at a point of uploading, Crash was going to make it just for like the benefit of. I still believe it's a masterpiece. I really wanted to put it in actually, and I thought it felt too much of a go-to, and two comic book movies, but different reasons. Yeah. Crash, John Q, Pirates of the Caribbean. I thought that for what it done. Animation, whether it be a Toy Story or a Moana, neither of those. So put those down as another two. Yeah, it was weird. What else? Do you know what? Bohemian Rhapsody. Each time that kept popping into my head as one of the films that I really appreciated, and didn't make it. Didn't make it. I tried to be varied, even as much as though any regular viewer will be like, okay, you're varied, but oh, guess what? That one's back again. I get that. But it's kind of, I kind of had different reasons when I looked at it and what made it stay as opposed to what made it go, if you would. I tried to be varied within the list in terms of genre. And that's what kind of hit me. And I was like, yeah. Yeah. Oh, your volume's gone. That is a really weird wire you have. Yeah.
What's a really weird word?
Wire. A weird wire you have there. Like it's
weird, isn't
practically it? Don't move it and it just blanks out. It's so weird.
Pedro then follows up going, could have been top 10 of a specific decade. Well, we've been doing that recently. Then Gavin Mann on Twitter was like, why don't you do top 10 movies of the 2000s? And I thought I'd inject that with a dose of venom and just go apeshit on this. Billy Mount the third is in here. Hello, Nico and AJ. Hello, Billy Mount. Then the text says 1999 was my year for movies. 94 or 2017 for me, but that's a great year, Dan.
Very, very powerful, actually.
99
is also a big one.
Mixed Memorabilia is here. Hello, everyone. Great to have you here, Mixed Memorabilia, the man of 1,000,000 movies. Who else have we got? Mixed Memorabilia. Has Slumdog Millionaire made anyone's top 10? Not for me either. That's spoiler number 4.
It's one I really do appreciate.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. Francis Lon, Nico equals art couture. little bit. Who else have we got? Your brother's here. Big Fadane. What's up?
I don't know when the Nigerian side of him came out, but hey, new discovery.
I do not know. Big Fadane. Let's stop that now.
Also, another thing. Unintentionally racist. That's something. Stuff you just didn't know. Yeah.
Seems to be a specialty of Nico Lurot. Gavin Mann says, Movie Mount Rushmore. Punt. 3 things. Not gonna lie. Interesting. Unlimited power. Hashtag I'm with AJ. Hashtag Nicoholics. Yes, sir. Haven't seen it. For those of you joining us for the first time, I think that's a very decadent sum up of what the Movie Mount Rushmore is. I agree with this.
Yeah.
Dendetech pitching a minimum of 2 coffees for 200 episodes. I love you for suggesting that, Dendetech. Thank you so much. Riri Thomas, any horror films? You'll have to stay tuned to find out. Gavin Mann approves of your poker face, AJ. Mixed Memorabilia says, Nico, you finally got around to watching Gangs of Wasapo. Whilst I appreciate it didn't make your list, what did you think of the film? Stunning. So good and surprising. Not what I was expecting from an Indian movie. Good. Like really, 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 really good. Just not quite good enough. Gavin Mann wants to know if episode 7 is on your 10s. Stay tuned to find out. Hacksaw Ridge. Now, that was one that fucking hurt me to leave off. Hacksaw Ridge, what a film. Really, really hurt me. But yeah, those are the comments. That's the film family that we've got tonight, AJ. Must say, I would have liked to see Frank Torres and Chris Trengove, but hey ho, I'm sure they'll listen off. If
Jackie.
St. Jackie, right? Ashley Beasley, it would have been lovely to see the whole film family in the house. But
There's a few. August, of course. Anytime and anyhow you come with us. Hey, you may not be live squad, but you will be pod squad or rod squad. So we do appreciate you in any form. And yeah, but hey, it's 200. We does this.
It is 200, but something's wrong.
Hit me, bro. That that's nice. That is very nice. This is why I appreciate you for the film editor that you are, bro. Yeah. I've lost. Oh, here we go. I actually tried to do a little something, but it was nowhere near that. When I tell you nowhere near, we are talking, yeah, really bad. I'll show it to you after because it's got a 30-second countdown to it as well. But yeah, that kicks ass. So well done to you.
Did you see the two little clicker boards on the side?
I did. I was just wondering if it should have been Nico, the penis got me Lurot, as opposed to being at the bottom. But I like that.
The penis got me was on there.
No, sorry, but it should have been like in between them. But that was cool. That was really nice.
And I thought I'd have to bling up our background a bit for episode 200.
It's nice. It's nice.
It's nice.
Well, the silver screen do the film strips as well.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
Right, so 21 minutes in, we said we're not going to do half an hour, so let's not. Okay. Would you like to tell anyone joining us for the first time what the Movie Mount Rushmore is all about?
Yes, basically, it is a top 10 show between two best friends of more than 20 years. Fuck me. From going way back. And we're here, 200 episodes in, to talk to you about movies. But how does the show actually work? AJ and I each get assigned a topic. We go our separate ways. And we come right back here and deliver to you, the Silver Screen Dudes, our film family, our individual top 10s. In honor of episode 200, let's bring it way back as if it was episode 1. And we're starting with AJ, who's going to go first, delivering his bottom 3. I will then deliver my bottom 3. AJ will deliver his next 2. I will deliver my next 2. And then we will trade one apiece. If at any time, while we are rounding off our individual top 10 lists, one person has a movie in the higher position, that person will say...
Hunt.
And we will punt and talk about that movie when we get to the higher position. Once we have both rounded off our individual top 10 lists, we will create the Movie Mount Rushmore. These are the 4 quintessential, diverse, must-see movies of the genre. Hold that fire, AJ, because this week it is... Now go.
I mean, that was nice. I was going to say the title. I was going to be like, you beat me to it. By the way, Pod Squad, you need to join in. You need to join in because you're hearing this stuff. You have no idea what you're seeing. I'm not even going to say it. You just need to see it. Okay, so hop on over. Be a Pod Squad for one week, if not forever. Right. Okay, this week is top 10 movies of the 21st century. 21.
No, pussy's illiterate.
Fuck you. So some of the top 10 movies of the 21st century should be the title. Because flip me, it's a challenge. Yeah, by no means is this my absolute top 10 of the 21st century. It could be, it could change week in, week out. It honestly could. Give me 2 more weeks, it's going to be a different story.
Real talk.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, what happens after we, the Silver Screen Dudes, have created the Movie Mount Rushmore? It gets even harder for you. Why? Because we create the top 4 films. You have to crown El Capitan, El Numero Uno, the best of the best of the best of the best, sir, with honors. And obviously, El Capitan, El Numero Uno. To quote Highlander, that's the one.
Andy said, be careful.
There could be only one. Oh shit! Yeah, it's been a while. I could have said it willy-nilly before. Yeah, to quote Highlander, there could be only one. So how do you do that? You head on over to Movie MT Rushmore, but more importantly, the guy that retweet. Good old JT from We Love Movies at Movie Polls for You. Both of these on Twitter. Only one vote. There you will see the 4 films that we have put into the Rushmore, and you will vote for the absolute best of that category. Last week our topic was a little bit underappreciated. Still got a good 273 votes, though, and it was the best movie set in a hotel. Yes, it was. Why did I have third director? We've done that already. Go.
What, are contenders? Yes, they are.
Well.
I'm waiting for your cues now, brother. Come on. Hotel Rwanda, The Grand Budapest Hotel, 1408, and Lost in Translation.
This is either going to go one way or the other with this film. It's either dead last or number 1. Now, for the fact that talking hotels, by the way. Saw it in Bruges. Sadly, didn't make the list, but I love it.
Brilliant, right? Fucking brilliant, right?
Yeah. The last
what do you mean he doesn't fucking like Bruges? It's lovely. It's like a fairy tale.
What I also realised between Grand Budapest and In Bruges was my appreciation for Ralph Fiennes. I was like, So I've seen a poster from him. I'm like, I'm going to go see that film. Whereas before, I was like, okay. Now I'm like, Ralph, you got me, bro. Yeah.
I'll go out on a limb here and tell you this. Ralph Fiennes is the greatest actor working today who hasn't won an Oscar.
I could work with that. I could go with that. Okay, here we go. Because it's not so much set in a hotel, Lost in Translation.
No, sir.
Okay, so it's number 1. Okay, so in at number 4, 1408.
No, sir.
Grand Budapest.
No, sir.
Hotel Rwanda.
Got fucked. 13%.
Disgusting. 1408.
Yes, sir. 1408 came in at number 3 with 16%.
So the films with the black people end up last. All good. I'm joking. In at number 2, Grand Budapest.
No, sir.
Ah!
Lost in Translation came in at number 2 with 28%. Grand Budapest whooped ass. 43%.
Wow. I mean, I am impressed. I literally, when I say that, not in a bad way, not in a bad way, I literally thought Lost in Translation, for the love that I always have for this film, it was either last or first. I just didn't see it like taking second place. So. And Hotel Rwanda taking the slack down.
I'm quite surprised about that. I'm not going to lie. I am quite surprised about that. Just before we do get into the live show, guys, we are on episode 200. We've been doing this now for 5 seasons strong. If you are a fan of the content that we make, you can head on over to buymeacoffee.com/movie dudes. And for less than the price of your daily coffee when you're on your way to work, or that you get ordered at home, whatever, I don't know. Less than, if you prefer, less than the price of a McDonald's breakfast, literally. They're all true. For as little as £2 you can support us 200 episodes in. As Dan the Tech said, it would be lovely if we could get 2 coffees for 200 episodes. But honestly, jokes aside, there is no expectation for this. If you guys like us and you want to support us, the link is down in the description below. It's fine, though. You've gone Green Matrix, bro. It's cool.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted.
Magic done?
Kind of. I might bewitch it with my nose in a bit, but hey, that's a different story.
Go for it, my bro.
Right, in at number 10, I thought we definitely had to have this cult movie in there. And yeah, it's one of the greats of the 2000s and 21st century. Not spoken about enough, I don't believe. Donnie Darko.
Pained me to leave this off.
So as I said, when I broke it down, there were a few bits where I tried to look at diversity, and I thought we need to have a cult film in there. And to me, this is the one. This is the one. Let me just say something. Let me just double check something before I make an ass out of myself. It's taking longer than I thought, but yeah, I absolutely love this film. It was my first exposure to Jake Gyllenhaal, if I'm honest, and it was a quirk. It's funny when you look at this film, you look at people like Patrick Swayze's in there, Drew Barrymore's in there, but they have these small parts, and it's really weird who became the star of it and how the focus was there. And it's for a film that says it's time travel, you wouldn't believe it. It's not like your blueprinted time travel movie. I mean, it does and it doesn't. Obviously, it still remains within there, otherwise it's not a time travel movie.
I mean, they're talking about wormholes and the Einstein-Rosen bridge. That's literally the definition of time travel. It's
I get you.
Seeing space as a curve.
It's deeper than any other one that I've personally seen or can think of off the top of my head. Normally, you jump into a car or a phone box, or put some shit on your head, and woof, here we go.
Okay,
time travel. You're through it. This one was deeper. And it's the part where it also had the thriller element to it, the quirkiness, the pinpoints, the stuff you have to look out for. It's always been a film that from the first time I saw it just stuck out to me. It was a media studies study, and I just thought, wow, this is interesting. This is interesting.
It's bro. I'm actually. Again, this list is ever changing. I'm surprised I didn't include this just because it is one of my top 10 favorite films of all time. So the fact that it didn't make this list, who knew? I don't have good reasoning for it. I love everything about this film. I love that Richard Kelly made the very brave decision to not pick a tone for his movie, which couldn't go so horribly wrong. I'm looking at you. A horror movie, but one moment it's a fucking horror movie, next it's fucking Scooby-Doo. this film, one moment it's a coming of age movie. Next, it's kind of a raunchy teen comedy. Next, it's delivering Pulp Fiction levels of dialogue with, you know, the breakdown of Smurfette and Gargamel. Next, it's a sci-fi movie. Next, it's veering into the path of psychological thriller. Then it goes full horror. It's like, what are you? Yeah. You're everything and nothing, and you're kind of wonderful for it.
Yeah, isn't it just? Isn't it just? And it's that weird one because it's not many people you can say. Well, it's like Fight Club, I suppose. Have you seen Donnie Darko? Like most people say yes, but it still has that cult essence to it. You know,
it's completely cult. I mean, look, Gavin Mann right here. Look, it's Donnie Darko is on the watch list. I know how much you guys love this one. Some people have not seen this film, AJ. Wow. Harry's Boy approves of you. Donnie Darko is a truly great film, but not seen it in years and not seen the director's cut. Funnily enough, the director's cut's not that different from the original cut. This is one of those weird ones. I think there's only a scene or two, and it doesn't add that much. I think no, it's not like Blade Runner where you fucking don't watch the director's cut. It's an entirely different movie. Or the Schneider cut of Justice.
Add an extra hour.
Different movie. Like,
one thing I didn't appreciate with Donnie Darko. You know when it's like, let's leave it as that? Are you aware that out there is an S Darko? It's Donnie Darko 2. It's meant to be from the perspective of his sister. Never watched it, but I was just like, no. You know there are some sequels, like there's Cruel Intentions 2. Let's get the joke out now. There's Grease 2. There are certain films out there that are based off of a classic that just shouldn't happen. And I believe Donnie Darko 2 is one of those.
Yeah. I don't think that movie ever needs a sequel, a remake, anything. It's like, leave Donnie Darko the fuck alone.
Yeah. Digital remastering is the most I would appreciate for generations, but I wouldn't do anything else.
And it is love. Look, Dan the Tech is saying, got Donnie Darko is tattooed on my back.
Cool.
What, the big rabbit? I respect you.
Unless it's a major change in it. Like tattoo on his back.
Andy Hart confirms S Darko is terrible.
Had the feeling.
Francis Lalonde says, seen Donnie Darko, like it, but don't rate it super high. Probably 8 out of 10.
That's not low.
It's high. What's your number 9?
Right, in at number 9. What's your thoughts on remakes?
We're going back to season 2 where I told people what my 3 rules for remakes are, yes?
Go. Remind them.
My 3 rules for a remake. Has it been enough time that the movie is deserving of a remake?
Yeah.
As in, deserving is obviously a matter of interpretation. I'm defining deserving by, could it be reimagined or revisioned or reinterpreted for a modern audience? Number 2, is it so old that amongst the modern audiences, the likelihood of it being found and ever rewatched is slim to none?
No.
Number 3, if it relies on special effects, is it in need of a special effects do-up?
Partially.
These are my 3 stipulations for a remake.
I get that. And I nearly took it off, and then I brought it back in just now, if I'm honest with you, because I thought, here's a remake of a classic, retold, and loved. And it's been brought up tons, so I don't really want to touch on it, hence why it's also number 8.
9.
9, sorry. Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Fucking love this film.
Yeah.
And you picked the correct one. I'm really bored of people.
100%.
I'm bored of people saying Dawn is the best in that trilogy. It's not. Dawn is fucking great.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? Maybe they're thinking Dawn comes before Rise, because that would be the way you look at it. But I don't know, because Rise is the movie. Rise.
Koba was a very interesting character in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, but Rise 100%. Is the one.
But it's the building of this. You know, like you go back to the original film, you take a couple of astronauts, they wake up and, you know, there's monkeys around who can talk. This was a complete different. It's the way it built. So it's like, okay, yes, Planet of the Apes was Earth all along. How did they take over Earth? And I thought that was that. I thought it was amazing.
Address this, please.
The first one, Andy, the very first one with the cancelled James Franco.
Andy Hart is asking which one is Rise. I can never remember. Yes,
the first one. I said the first one. That's what I'm saying. The first one.
Yeah, but for the podcast listeners.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
Right. Come on, brother. 200 episodes in. Get this shit on lockdown.
We're good. It's just like, why do you repeat the question? But what I think this film, why I avoided it, and I don't know if many others did before, You know that first part where you said the distance within a remake? Mark Wahlberg made a film in between the original classics that people love and adore.
Doesn't exist.
Well, it doesn't, and it shouldn't. But unfortunately, it does. Like, I actually have a DVD of this at home. My parents bought it for us when we were younger. Still haven't watched it. But this is what I'm saying. And I heard how bad that film was from absolutely everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You hear about Rise, you're automatically led to believe it's a
sequel to Wahlberg.
Yeah, and I think it may have been avoided by a lot of people because of that. I personally was under that bracket until I was told, like, no. Scrap that, forget that. It's a new movie. Watched it, loved it. Andy Serkis does not get enough credit for what he does. No, that needs to be appreciated and mentioned. The movements of an ape, the way he does, the voice acting behind it in order to create an ape's very first words needs to be acknowledged. Like, it's not an easy feat, yet he's delivered it the way he does. I just love the whole development of this film, and I thought, where you can be very hesitant when people hear, oh my god, they're remaking X, Y, or Z, this one said, no, we can do remakes and they can be done well.
This movie made me happy. You know what else makes me happy? Chris Trengover's in the house. But Chris, I need to set you straight. Fuck it, we're doing this. Oh, yeah.
There you go. Enough of the haircut talk, yeah, bro.
There we go. We're good.
Welcome, Chris. Thank you for joining us.
Chris, it's so good to have you here, brother. Thank you for joining us on episode 200.
Club member said, "Oh my god, Nico got a haircut." No, he just had his hair in a bun.
2 ponytails. That's how long it is now. No haircut. Correct. Harry's boy says, speaking of James Franco, is The Room on anybody's list? For banter, it nearly actually went on. No, but really, what film
I get it.
Yeah. What film has been more spoken about in every fucking corner of the world than this abominable piece of shit?
And have so many questions. I still want to know.
So many questions.
Who is this guy?
Oh, hi, Mark. Oh, I love it. I love the culture surrounding that film. It's fucking great. Yeah, bro. Rise is tops, and I echo your sentiments on Andy Serkis. The man, for what he's done, changed cinema with the help of technology, of course. Does not get the credit he deserves. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Cool.
Republic Productions is also here. Thank you for joining us on episode 200 of Republic Productions.
Hey, well, Republic Productions.
Before I left the previous team,
wish me a good flight. My flight back from Washington was terrible. Screaming children, couldn't sleep, loud, tyrant, uncomfortable, hated it. Really sorry to hear that. You know, that's one of the things. You can either get the world's best flight or the world's worst flight. I don't think there's really an in-between, is it? Can either go
shameless
really
plug. You know what you can always do to make your flight better is if you have some backlog of the Movie Mount Rushmore podcast, you can always just drown the baby out by listening to the two of us on your flight.
That sounds like a winner right there.
Couldn't resist.
That sounds like a winner right there. Now, you may have heard a slight sigh from me. And it's not that Republic Productions is here. I'm very happy Republic Productions is here.
You're worried that there's going to be some Star Wars banter.
No, it's not Star Wars banter. It's because I know they're not a big fan of the MCU. And that's what was coming in at number 8. So I'm like, fuck. Could have come in early when I said Donnie Darko and Rise of the Planet of the Apes. But hey, it is what it is. But all the same, very happy to have you here. And sorry about your flight. In at number 8, Avengers Endgame. Now, if it's a different film, it's a different film.
Go for it then.
Right. Yeah. Okay. The phases are still going on. What have you? The culminate. If you're going to talk about the 21st century, this started as a standalone film and built into the monster that literally films revolve around. That is the MCU, and I believe the culmination of that was Endgame. Yes, it continues and it's not reset or anything along that line. We have multiverses or what have you. But in terms of building a franchise that had people coming in year after year from Iron Man onwards, I believe this film needs to be recognized as one of the biggest building of any film universe ever. Obviously, Bond is out there. I'm not going to disrespect that. But that's what got to me, and a hell of a time with it. Absolute hell of a time as always. It's a film that we've spoken about enough, but I believe when you look at the 21st century, there's no way you can't avoid the MCU, and I believe this was the greatest part of it to me.
Greatest? Hell no. Hell no.
I know where yours is.
Not even. Not
when
even
I say
close.
that, it's because it's the closing of a chapter. You could close that book. You could call this phase whatever you want now, but you know that's a, how can I say it? The saga. They call it a saga. You got your phases. That's the Thanos saga or whatever they call it. Bang. Started with Iron Man, ends there.
By that logic, Terminator: Dark Fate should be the best Terminator movie.
No, but the film sucks. That's different. That's different. Like when I say dark, it was too long. You have too many bits in between, and I'm now having to be told, "Oh, forget this ever happened, forget that." Whereas MCU started with this film and had a continuous part and plot within it. There was nothing erased, short of Incredible Hulk, from Ang Lee, but we won't get into that. To be fair, it started after Iron Man, so no, we don't even need to acknowledge that. So yeah, to me,
Look,
it turns out as for the build-up that it was, we got a good end.
We got a good ending in some aspects. There was a lot of, however good the fist pumping moments were on your left, Cap lifting up Mjolnir, finally saying assemble. You know, it was good for the geek boys, but as a movie, it's not there for me.
If you're going to break it down into your movie analytics, which we broke down earlier, then yeah, I'm sure you could pick it apart to help. You just have to remember that we have done film link-ups. And I say, like, we do a wrestling link-up as 5 guys, it's guaranteed. You may find the occasional guest here and there. Remember, we done Spider-Man. We got 12, 15 people. How many? I remember buying 20-something tickets because many people, the casuals were in. And that kind of build up an appreciation for this is the end of everything.
Yeah, look, it's something that people got invested over the course of 10 years in. So, of course, you know, it was printing money. But I've always said money and popular vote is not a measuring stick. I don't know if it's on your list or not.
If I was to talk for the greatest film made by the MCU, it would definitely be The Winter Soldier. Hands down, to me, that as a straight up film.
One of.
That's where I would. I mean, for me, as I said, I don't know if it's in your list, but that's the one I would break down as a absolute groundbreaking, not groundbreaking, but absolute good, great film from the MCU. Right? If you're going to talk about
Ragnarok, you can talk about Guardians.
I find
Ragnarok's a good comedy that really finally. This is typical Taika Waititi. Really finally balances some quite heavy, fucking dark themes in it. I could talk about Guardians of the Galaxy being a seminal sci-fi fantasy.
I don't hate Guardians.
Really,
it's always just been
you can't hate Guardians. Nah, I love Guardians. Top 5 MCU for me. You could talk about Iron Man being a really, really good, contained, character-driven film. Endgame's not there for me, bro. It's not even in my top 10 MCU movies. Like, I like it a lot, but it's not there for me.
Fair play.
Few comments on here. Yeah, you're not getting much love for putting Endgame in there, my man. Chris Strango giving you a skeptical Endgame in the top 10. Republic Productions, I need to give you a slap for this. The 21st century hasn't been great for movies. Behave.
There are too many great films and there are too many different ways to angle it. It depends what you're looking for. If you're going to go for what you're getting advertised in your face, then by all means, you probably will. I could agree where you'd be like, it's very average. If you dig deeper, however, there are some true golden gems in cinema. I nearly made it a golden gems list, essentially, of films that just are there. I didn't. I copped out.
Love it.
There are some great films out there. I mean, I could have just drawn for biopics and just made it absolutely awesome.
Chris Trangrove says, I can look at the 21st century and ignore the hell out of the MCU. Thank you very much. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Andy Hart says top 3 MCU, Ragnarok, Winter Soldier, The Avengers. I'll listen to that all day long. Harry's boy having a go at you. By this measure, No Time to Die is the best Bond film, which it is not.
Again, that was a 5th film, and there was no appreciation for the film. The film was stupid by so many definitions. I found
made a lot of money.
Of course, it made money because people wanted to see what the hell was going on, and there was this whole "what's going to happen to Bond? Will they kill him off?" Won't get into what they advertised. I found the villain weak as hell, which you can't compare with Endgame. I found the retelling of Bond just unreal. You're the superhero, I wouldn't call it superhero for that sense. He goes around and makes sure he can save absolutely everybody at any time and does his absolute best. Just stands there, partly crying, and just accepts defeat. Where the fuck has Bond ever accepted defeat? Surely there must be. Even if he jumped out and died, I wouldn't give a shit. But like there are reasons behind it that you can't compare it. Just because it's
I'm not giving it the time of day. It's not even my worst. There's a movie that annoys me more than No Time to Die.
I get that, but I'm saying this whole by the premise of like you can appreciate that Endgame was a good film, even though you may not find it the best film. There's a lot to hate on for No Time to Die. Like,
oh yes,
it's an average film, but the villain was weak. The way you ended Bond was terrible. Like, no, you can't compare it.
Big Fardane says nothing can be worse than Grey Man. Yes, it can. So much worse. Republic Productions, stay tuned because they're one of the movies you've named there. You're not going to like my take on it later on. I won't say what it is. Just stay tuned. I've starred your top 10 though, so we'll bring it up when we're deciding our Rushmore. So stay tuned for that. Republic Productions. I found No Time to Die to be a more satisfying finale than Endgame.
Listen, your appreciation of a franchise is your own. There's no dispute in that. Listen, that will obviously trigger you way more than it will me.
It's making my piss boil.
Of course it is. I know exactly what that was. I think it was meant to trigger me, but it triggered you.
So fucking hard. Whew, I'm gonna breathe through this. I'm not biting tonight. Mixed Memorabilia says, guys, do documentary films count? If so, I'm referring to Senna by Asif Kapadia. Documentary films do count, and then there were one or two which were trying to get in there for me. The Cove, for instance, nearly crept in there because it's a very, very important documentary that I want people to watch. What else? Yeah, so I think we can move on from there, AJ.
Yeah, listen, it is what it is.
So that was your number 8. My number 10 then. I'm going to go International 11. I'm going to go to Korea. Let's go Old Boy.
Very, very, very nearly made the list. I think in a world, this was like number 12. If we're going to be honest.
This. Do you know what? I was thinking, like, is it Old Boy or is it Parasite? Parasite got all the plaudits. Parasite was such a fascinating depiction for a Western viewer to see the social inequalities that permeate Korean society. It would have been fascinating to include Parasite, but I couldn't for love nor me put Parasite in over Old Boy, and I didn't want to make room for two of them because I think there are other international cinemas that I'd like to give credit to as well. So on that basis, I included Old Boy because just the fucking WTF story that's going on in Old Boy. The fact that the first time you watch this movie, it has got its claws into you from the get-go. And you're asking, like, what is going on? What has he done? Why is he being punished? How is he going to get out of this? How is he going to get his revenge? That twist at the end, which is just like, fuck me. That iconic almost side, 2D fighter side-scrolling corridor scene. Yeah, it's like, this is so original and unique, and it's such a breath of fresh air. And as you were saying earlier, a very bloated populist mainstream cinema, movies like this need to exist. And it's very important that audiences watch these movies. It really left me speechless.
And this is original, guys.
Absolutely original. The Korean original, not the Spike Lee remake. Not the Spike Lee remake. There is an argument to be made that this is a comic book movie, so maybe I've got 2 comic book movies in that sense, but I mean, you cannot view this movie through the prism of being a comic book movie. And yeah, so Andy, in answer to your question, no, this isn't. I do have another comic book movie on my list. Liverpool Music is here. Hello, Liverpool Music. All they had to do is pull the old "Where did Von Madeline and the girl go?" Oh well, next, let's training you 007.
Thank you, Liverpool Music. One of the many different solutions we have out there, and we proceed to move on.
I'm surprised they didn't call Madeleine fucking Jamie, and then at the end when it says James Bond will return, they get to the next one and say, psych, it's his daughter. Surprised they haven't pulled some bullshit on that line. Well, I'm still not ruling that out. Yeah. We move on from Bond. Old Boy is incredible. And it's kind of like if Tony Scott, this almost feels like a discredit doing this because it's such a unique animal into itself. But I feel dirty after watching Old Boy. The way I feel dirty after watching it. Yeah. You need to take a real cold shower after watching Old Boy. And for a movie to give you that kind of, Jesus Christ, to inflict that sort of emotional resonance with you, that's deserving of being in the top 10.
I'll give you
that. Francis Lon says, seem to remember hearing about Old Boy, but haven't seen it. Oh, Francis, treat yourself. Mixed Memorabilia says, pleased Old Boy made one of your lists. It's already a classic. Damn right it is. It's an absolute classic. Pedro Sanctor says, from that filmmaker, I think The Host and Memories of Murder are superior to Parasite. I have seen Memories of Murder. I haven't seen The Host yet. There's an argument to be made that Memories of Murder is a superior movie to Parasite. But again, I don't need to entertain this because I'm lucky I picked Old Boy. So yeah, Old Boy is the one for me. Chris Drangov says, Old Boy's great. Did you know it's based on a manga? I did after having watched it, but before obviously including
I didn't.
It's sensational. It is sensational. What else have we got? Republic Production says, I'm guessing Nico's worst movie of the 21st century will be Revenge of the Sith. It was a contender, but as I said at the top of the show, it's not on there. There's a movie that makes my piss boil a lot more than Revenge of the Sith, and even a lot more than No Time to Die. Because those movies made creative decisions I didn't like. AJ will tell you, nothing fucking Peter Griffin here. You know what really grinds my gears? You know what grinds my gears, AJ? Lack of logic. And you can actually make a very good investment in here too, because some of the reason that you don't like the Star Wars fans is when they say, oh no, but don't pay attention to the movie if you read that comic or if you read that book. Your attitude is always like, fuck you, I want to see it in the movie.
No, listen, that's the thing. That is the thing.
That thing resonates with me a lot, and that's why I fucking hate the movie that I hate, which is my worst. Because inadvertently the argument is that, but if you read the book, fuck you, I'm watching the movie. If the ending of the movie doesn't make sense, that's nothing to do with the book.
If it's so instrumental to the story, include it. I'm sorry, you have to include it. I'm going on your one. If we're talking on Star Wars lore, even a reference to it. I'm not saying you have to necessarily include something. If it's a continuation, I appreciate that, but reference it somewhere. Let us know that this is why X, Y, or Z is possible or has occurred.
Gavin Mann says, but Armageddon is 20th century, Nico. Now, if you're referencing the long debacle that I've had with our 21st century troll, Carson Peterson, who every single video the guy trolls me going, you should really like Michael Bay. No. Riri Thomas here, The Social Network and Gladiator would be in my top 10 for sure. AJ, do a poker face, so I'm not watching here. Neither of them made my list, and they were so fucking hard to leave off. Stings me.
I don't hate Gladiator, but it hurts me more to have left off Social Network. That's just my problem.
I actually think I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I think I would agree with that. I adore Social Network. To leave it off hurt so much. So yeah, Old Boy was my number 10. In at number 9. Okay, I'm going to rephrase this by saying people are going to now throw hate at me because I imagine a lot of people are going to be like, this movie's good. No way should it be in the top 10. Personal list, it's in my top 10. A Prayer Before Dawn.
It's a fucking good movie, bro.
It's a fucking good movie, bro. Now,
like, I can't. Yes, but again, guys, you have to remember to create a top 10 based on 22 years of cinema, international cinema also being included. The levels of films It's too much.
It's
I
nuts.
really enjoyed this film.
It's hard to not enjoy this film, right? This is the first time on the list I'm going to say this a few times as we're running down my list. My selection of movies, there's going to be a facet of each movie that has stuck with me. I haven't just gone on what I believe are objectively the top 10, as you said, golden, trophy holders of the 21st century, because that's almost a separate list. What are objectively what we think the best 10 movies of the 21st century are for X reasons. They're not movies which are necessarily my favorite. For instance, Donnie Darko, I prefer that movie to this, which is weird when we're doing this list. But there is something about where I was in my life when I saw Prayer Before Dawn. AJ, I'm not going to go into it now because I don't want to share it, but some shit happened to me in Thailand, right? What happened in this movie really struck a nerve with me. Like, there's so much shit in this movie that was close to home for me. From the people I was around, to some bad decisions I made, to some places I ended up. And what I thought was such a stroke of fucking genius with this film, no subtitles.
Yeah.
They didn't subtitle.
It makes you uncomfortable. Naturally makes you uncomfortable because you are matching the experience.
Yep. It was such a stroke of genius to alienate the audience the same way that Billy Moore was alienated by not speaking Thai in a Thai prison. And this movie is visceral. This movie is violent. This movie makes you want to have a cold fucking shower afterwards. This movie is a roller coaster. Fun fact, I actually met Billy Moore a few times. He used to come to our Muay Thai camp. He used to tour all the Muay Thai camps. We weren't special or anything, but he came to our camp a few times and, told us about, staying straight and all that. So I've actually met the guy, and his ear, whoo, there's a big old chunk of it missing. Like, it's fucked up. But yeah, man, can I tell you honestly, the Thailand that people see when they go there on holiday and they see the Thai smile, that's not the real Thailand. Like, I spent 10 years living there. This movie, it definitely shows you one of the darker sides of it. It's accurate. The Thais have got a nasty streak to them.
You know what that reminds me of? And I shouldn't say it when I've not been there or hail from there. But it's very much, I'm going to primarily say Jamaica, but most of the Caribbean islands, like the tourist spots, like, especially that. And I've got family who are married to Jamaicans. It's like, outside of Sandals, it ain't that nice. Like, it's a different area.
Yeah. Like, you go from the airport into your minivan to Sandals, Jamaica, you're good. You don't want to go in the shanty towns. Yeah. They're not fucking serving you pina coladas in the streets.
No.
So Thailand's not quite like that, because it's especially in the parts where I was, thankfully, because it is such a tourist hub as a country, not just province or city. The country of Thailand is such a tourist hotspot, and that's all over. Like, the mega tourist hotspots like Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Phuket, Pattaya, of course. But even to the places where, like, which aren't so popular, like most people haven't heard of Sukhothai, for instance, or Ayutthaya. Some people have, and respect to you if you have, but most people haven't. Even there, they're fucking, they've got their tourist shit on, to quote the Usos, lockdown, right? Like, they know how to get money and how to market their country. And respect to them for that. It's a stunning country that has a lot to offer. But this country comes with a warning, like, do not fuck with the Thais. There's a reason that they're the only Asian nation who have never been successfully conquered. Only one. Do not fuck with the Thai people. Like, they are tough bastards, and they're incredibly proud people. And this movie really, really showed the seedy, nasty underbelly of what happens on the dark side of Thailand, because it exists. Like, this film was not an exaggeration. That's the scary thing. And I speak Thai, obviously, so I appreciated it on a different level. Like, the shit that they didn't subtitle made me go,
I'd rather not, actually. Yeah.
It's fucked up. Like, the rape scene, for instance. Like, that gangbang rape scene in the toilet. There's a line for the guy being raped. oh God, it made my stomach turn. P okay dai tam che cha, which basically translates as okay, I submit, just please go slowly. It's like, oh my God, fuck. And the movie has got lines like that throughout. So if you speak Thai, it's even more fucked up. So
that's
for
right.
all the reasons I just mentioned, this movie, I cannot stress enough. You talk about cult movies. This is cult movie in the making. I'd like to think that in 10 years' time, this will be like people going, yo, bro, have you seen this movie, A Prayer Before Dawn?
It skipped me, you know. I forgot. Yeah, it may well have
just
made the list.
How good it is.
Yeah.
And it was one of those movies that since I saw it, there is hardly a week that goes by where I don't think, oh, I should watch that again. No, maybe I shouldn't. Like, it really, really sticks with you. It really sticks with you. Billy Mount says, did Shawshank Redemption make it on the list? 1994 Shawshank came out. Billy doesn't qualify. Andy Hart, Nico, my man. That is a stunning film. Really hard watch. Indeed. Gavin, man, Nico's cold shower list. We're 2 for 2 so far. Francis Sloan says, haven't seen That Prayer Before Dawn, but like foreign films where subtitles might be nice, but not needed to enjoy it on its own. Sorry. Excuse me.
Nice.
Chris Trengove says, I wish I liked A Prayer Before Dawn as much as Nico. That's fair. Republic Production says, you lived in Thailand. Only countries outside the US I've been to are Jamaica, the Bahamas, Spain, Italy, Canada, and the UK. Yeah, man, I lived in Thailand. Long time. Used to be a pro fighter out there. Then the tech. Thailand doesn't like black people. That's not true. They just call you chocolate man out there. That's true, actually. I'm not being racist.
You've said this. Look, I've not been to be able to defend it. I believe it's the intrigue. I thought it was more intrigue than disdain. But hey.
Yeah, white people they see all the time. We're not exotic to them anymore. There's literally that the black people do not have a bad reputation in Thailand. The Aussies have got a terrible reputation. The Swedish have got a terrible reputation. Like, quote unquote, black people as a whole, which is how the Thais view black people. It's like, oh, y'all are lobbed into one. It's like, we don't differentiate between Jamaica and Nigeria. They don't know.
No, listen. It's real. And you can't break it down further than that because most people don't outside of Asia. So, do you know what I mean? It's literally like, like some down to that basic common thing that you hear from people. So and I'm not, but you go, oh yeah, from Africa. Or you can even say Nigeria. People say, so do you speak African? And you're like,
exactly. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
Just as well as you speak European, my friend, of course. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Ibu, Yoruba, Hassa, like, what are we talking? Yeah, I can click motherfucker and what? Right, AJ, in at number 8, a silver screen dude's favorite. And so I was saying earlier that there's a movie that came in and entered at the 11th hour, thanks to Gavin Man sharing a screenshot. I looked at it and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, yeah, this has to go in. I can't not include this. It's one of our all-time favorites, and it's very, very unique. Snatch.
That's a punt, my bro.
Yeah.
That's a punt. Oh.
We got a punt.
You know what it is? I was also really scared that it's going to be one that I forgot. When you're like, it's one of my favorites, I was like, fuck. Like, I'm bricking it. So, yeah.
Your number 7, please, AJ.
Right, in at number 7 for me. I'm looking at this order because I swapped it round. Screw it.
What else is?
I'm going to keep it as the swap round that I did. So someone asked, is there any horror? And funny enough, there is a horror on AJ's list. And you know which one would have catch my eye, bro. If there is a horror that catches my eye, not because it freaked me out, but because I appreciate the way they done it.
You've done it!
You idiot. The Conjuring.
I love you. I love you so much for putting this on. Thank you. With the fire of 1,000 suns, thank you.
Sadly, he didn't get around to seeing Ringu this week because I was hoping that might have possibly...
Wouldn't qualify. 1998 release.
Oh, there we go. I didn't even check that. I when we done something about horror franchises, I remember this is when I first gave The Conjuring a shot, and I appreciate The Conjuring for the way that it has branches. You've got The Conjuring, then you've also got The Nun, and like it's got various ways of being with it. It's not just a franchise; it's a universe, and that's what I love.
Conjuring verse.
Yeah.
The Conjureverse.
I haven't seen them all, and I'm not going to profess to that. I'm interested in seeing them all because I like the way they deliver it. There are many horrors. I always say I don't like horrors because they just don't give me what they're meant to. I can watch them, but they just don't give me.
I'd actually like to take this moment. I probably should have saved this because when we do our horrors of the 2000s episode. But I'd like to raise this with you now, especially considering we are doing horrors of the 2000s. Horrors aren't purely intended to scare. I think you need to stop watching them through the prism of, is this scaring me? And if it's not, the movie as a whole has failed. Horrors deal with subjects which other movies wouldn't necessarily have the balls to deal with, and they always use heavy subject matter as a framework for some sort of social commentary. That's where horror is powerful. That's when horror is really at its fucking best. Martyr, for instance, one we both loved.
See,
yes, it's a horror movie, and yes, it's cold, yeah, and yes, it's a hard watch. But is Martyr scary? No.
This is and this is where I'm weird that way. I don't. I suppose it's not a thriller because it has the horrific moment. Yeah, I don't know. I just
here's another one that we both like. Let the Right One In. It's not scary. It's not scary at all, but it's a fucking good horror movie. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. On its surface, it's a vampire movie. I want to drink your blood, blah. Oh, I guess Sweden. I want to drink your blood, right?
Thank you. Do you know what I was about to? I have seen the right one. Yeah, and I remember watching. Yeah,
you have.
Yeah,
but ultimately, what's it talking about? It's talking about isolation. It's talking about friendship. It's talking about social introverts. It's talking about genital mutilation. It's got a social commentary going about what it is to be transgender or perceived to be transgender. You see what I mean? Good horror isn't the shit horror, unfortunately, is the one you always bat for. Scream. That is a pile of shit.
Listen,
that is lowest bro, it's fine.
But do you know what it is though? I take Scream for what Scream is. I never said, oh, Scream gave me the shits. Do you know what I mean?
It's a jump scare fest.
But this is it.
And it's predictable.
But it's everything that I've seen after. Oh my God, you need to see that one. Oh my, like, don't watch it with the lights out. And I've watched it and I'm like, really? And do you get what I'm saying? If you give me horror as a genre in the same way that you do, and you don't get the hype behind it, every person hyping it. Now, I don't want to shit on the film because it may be. Actually, I won't even bring it up because it's in my list next week. But you get these others where people be like, "Oh, you need to watch," and it's like
Hereditary.
Really? No. There's another one that really,
for instance, I got to happen. I was like, yeah. Horror. Francis Lalonde says it's perfect. Said it perfectly. Horror equals make audience uncomfortable. It's not the aim of the horror is not to scare. The Invisible Man. Did that scare you?
No.
You appreciate it's a fucking great film.
Oh, I loved it. Absolutely.
That's a horror.
Yeah, wouldn't have seen it.
I'm gonna try and start proving a point to you that I actually think you like horror a lot more than you realize.
I probably do, and I probably put it under a different category because I don't see it for that.
If you're a single woman and you living in a house alone and you watch The Invisible Man, trust me, you're bricking it.
Listen, I get it, and maybe that's the way I need to pay attention to it more. But I'm obviously, I
think
don't know.
About, is a horror creeping you out? Is it making you like uncomfortable in your skin? Is it making you, like The Conjuring, brace yourself on the edge of your seat for what's coming? Is it dealing with something which, your average run-of-the-mill blockbuster, and I say this with the nicest way, would not have the balls to deal with because it's heavy subject matter? Horror is meant to make you feel uncomfortable. It's not pure. Can it scare you as a very obvious byproduct? Sure. But the aim of a horror is to challenge you, is to make you feel uncomfortable, is to make you question shit and view shit through a different prism that you normally would. That's the aim of a horror. That's why I think they're so fucking powerful. Bro, Ginger Snaps is a fucking great one. A werewolf movie about teen suicides. Fucking Raw, the French film. A cannibal film, which is essentially about a girl's, lesbian coming out party and discovering her sexuality. You know, all of the great modern horror films deal with subject matter which makes you think. It's not just there to go, blah! Fuck that. Fuck those films. That shit is Scream.
Fair enough.
I think you like horror and you don't realize it.
Maybe. Listen, there are.
And this is my mission moving forward, including season 6. Get AJ to admit he likes horror. Anytime I see an opportunity now, I'm going to prod you.
Fair enough. Listen, I've always said it. I want to appreciate them. They just never done it for me. And maybe it's just based on a view.
You don't realize it.
Well, yeah, okay. I'm looking for a scary horror. That's the challenge. No. But appreciate what I'm saying. From where people talk about horrors, people look for either the slashers or the jump scare movies, or a mix of both.
Shit horror.
Maybe. But these ones that people always go, oh, you need to see. Hit me with one of those. Make me feel. I think Saw 3 nearly done it, but that's personal reasons. Marta was deep. I actually watched Marta again recently.
So did I, by the way. I rewatched it. I got through it this time. Whew. Oh, fuck me. An American Werewolf in London. It's not scary.
No, I get you. I get it.
Great film. Dracula with Gary Oldman. It is not scary.
No,
it's a fucking great film, though.
Of course it is. Cool. But yeah, no, The Conjuring in their universe, that was something I could pay attention to. That is something I could pay attention to. So again, this is based on me where I was trying to do genres. I've done the remakes, I've done the cults. I touched on horror. Then came in. Now for my number 6 came the word action. I was like, what is the action movie? And I could have leaned with
genre. Okay.
I either did and I didn't at some points. At other points, I was just like, fucking awesome film. It needs to be included. But this one, I felt like I needed an action film. Now, if we listen to the screeners, I would have gone with John Wick because obviously Keanu Reeves is the
True Lies, but it doesn't qualify.
No, exactly. But Keanu Reeves is the greatest action star.
Yes.
But then I thought, would I be real to myself? Would I be real to you? Would I be real to Nath? So then I went with my saga from the world of Quentin Tarantino.
I thought this would be higher.
Kill Bill.
I thought this would be a lot higher.
Maybe sometimes when I know that people know it's my go-to, I'm like trying to avoid them. You know? But no, Kill Bill.
I am shocked this isn't your number 1, considering it's your favorite film of all time. Second favorite film of all time.
Bro, yeah.
I'm genuinely now I'm questioning your logic. Then again, I didn't put some of my shit on, so carry on. Don't ignore me.
No, do you know what it is? There is that, but I mean, when you're talking about, it's a great action film. It's a great Tarantino movie. There are better stories told out there, and for that reason, I felt I had to be honest with where it goes. It's been a while, but I absolutely love the madness that is Kill Bill. I'm going to call it the whole bloody story, so it's not going to be a volume 1, volume 2 thing. It's the whole continuation of the story. I just remember being mesmerized, I think is the right word behind it. It's the action, it's the Tarantino dialogues, whether it's the backstory of how the bride narrates to how she got here and this whole story. And before I can go on to this mission, wiggle your big toe. Whether you want to talk about Bill's story of Superman and Clark Kent, something I had never thought about and has stuck with me for the longest while. Vengeance at its highest degree. Her versus the Crazy 88s and all of it. Her versus the Go-Go. The Oren Ishii story. Like different
the best story, Oren Ishii.
For sure, 100%. But it's the backstories, the way that this universe was built within these 2 films. I just thought it was absolutely amazing. And yeah, it comes in, it came in at like number 2 on my list. Everyone was like, but Kill Bill's your favorite movie. I didn't know. I talked about Kill Bill so much that people told me Kill Bill was my number 1. Were your other favorite? You done it. My brother done it. His best friend done it. Everyone's like, Kill Bill, innit? No, I don't think it is. But they're like, but you always watch that. You always talk about it. Like, oh shit. Like, that's how important Kill Bill was to me. So when I looked at it for the 21st century, it had to be included.
Relevant tangent. You know I'm on my platinum hunt with PlayStation 5 games, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Platinum number 10, I was replaying Far Cry 3.
Okay.
There is a line in Far Cry 3 where they didn't say the whole line for not getting their fucking asses sued. You go to meet up with someone, he gives you the mission, he tells you about a guy you have to meet in a whorehouse. And he doesn't give you the guy's name. He just writes it on a piece of paper.
And hands up.
No. Then as you're looking down, he's looking down at the paper. It says Buck. And it says, his name's Buck. And he likes to and the call comes in. He literally says, and he likes to and then a call comes in. I'm like,
ooh, well played.
AJ, this is for you.
Well played. So here's the funny thing. I do believe I'm going to stream, but at one point. But I delayed myself in playing some games, and I've actually started playing Spider-Man. So that's the game I'm actually at the moment.
Very good.
The first one, not even the second one, because I put that down.
Very good. Platinum it as well. Very easy.
I want to, but I think people see my journey. They'll realize what a shit player I am. The tag.
You can't be shit at Spider-Man.
Still get pissed off when I die. I'm like, why did I die here? I need to get better with this.
Hashtag get good. You are opening yourself up to a world of internet hate if you go online gaming in your shirt.
Hey, I'm literally out to put it. The episode might be called "World's Worst Gamer Chases a Platinum." Like, I'm up.
Platinum. Oh, I've got a good name for you. Not platinum, platinoob.
maybe it may well be that.
I'm here all week.
Thank you.
I'm here all week. Andy thinks I am being unkind to Scream. What you described is the Scream franchise, not Scream. When Scream came out in the 90s, it was a meta deconstruction of the slasher movie of the 70s and 80s, and it was also a live-action recreation of fucking Scooby-Doo. Gavin Mann's proving a point here when I say great horror makes you think. Pontypool. Now that's a fucking movie. Pontypool is.
This up
oh God, it's good. Mixed Memorabilia says, AJ, have you watched the Japanese film Audition?
No, I remember. Was this brought up last week, wasn't it?
I believe so.
I believe it was. Let me add it to the list. And this, guys, is why it's impossible to create a top 10 list of the 21st century. So much
Pedro Santos is asking, what's AJ's favorite?
On my list.
Yeah. Pedro Santos says, what's AJ's favorite film of all time since Kill Bill Volume 2, Volume 1 second? Can I answer this?
Okay.
Back to the Future, Part 2.
Indeed. There's just something about Back to the Future Part 2 that childhood nostalgia that just always just give me the fuzzies in the tum-tum. Just got to be honest. It is what it is.
Gavin Mann says, I thought AJ had Crash and Back to the Future above Kill Bill. Nico?
Crash, I thought was top 5. I really believe Kill Bill was number
Crash
2.
is top 3 for you. I know that.
It could have been. I can't remember where I put it. Like, again, but I have a lot of love for Crash. And I was really weirded out. I think Crash, it's going to sound weird. Crash is one of my first serious films. And that's what I've always appreciated and loved about it. It's not, like a superhero. It's not a comedy. It was just a good drama. And I think that's why it kind of stuck with me. But I still can't believe there's hate for it. It honestly was on the list. And yeah, Planet of the Apes. Just for the remake situation. And I thought, I'm not in the mood to defend Crash to the Hills today.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Chris
Rango approves of your suggestion. Love Kill Bill AJ would be my top 100 of the 21st century.
Fair enough. Thank you, Chris.
It's what you call what is it? A backhanded compliment. It's like, I approve.
I get it's not 100, but yeah.
Republic Productions, man, most horror films are a bore. Only the shit ones.
I get this, but maybe the conversation you're having with me, Republic Productions, you need to hear it as well. Like, maybe we're looking at it the wrong way. But I know a few people who kind of take that approach where it's like, yeah, it just doesn't work.
You'll approve of this one. Pedro Santos says, how about Takeshi Miike for you silver screen dudes? Don't hear you mention him often. Ichi the Killer, 13 Assassins. Ichi the Killer's fucked up.
Do you know what? When I was looking for Martyr today, I was going through my collection of films and I saw, obviously, you have to pass I to get to M. And I was like, oh shit, I still have Ichi the Killer. Oh. I think the only one missing from that list since the parcel of the first hard drive was Cannibal Holocaust. I'm not sure if I've still got that. That was another.
I've got it if you need it.
I'm sure I've got it somewhere, but I need to revisit that list because I know there was.
Oh, I don't approve of that movie. The movie that got created and resulted in no animals were hurt in the making of this production as a result.
Yeah.
Because this movie hurt animals.
Yeah.
For real. Mixed Memorabilia question for you. AJ, considering Crash was heavily inspired by Amores Perros, which do you think is better?
I'm still a Crash person. I really, really love, appreciate, and liked. I can't say loved. I think I need to watch it again to say loved. Amores Perros was really good, and I really thank you for introducing me to that film as well. It's got a lot to it. It has a lot to it. I like the way they built the world, but there's something about Crash. Maybe a sentimental value of the way it touched me when I watched it. And Amores Perros doesn't have a invisibility cloak, but the AJ crying moment. Yeah. It's a great film, but Crash still edges for me.
Fair enough. Sometimes the remake is better. All right, my number 7 then, yeah?
We had no dogs in Crash. Go.
Sorry, 1 second. What? Sorry, baby. My number 7. AJ, who's my favorite actor of all time?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
AJ, what's the greatest acting performance of all time?
There Will Be Blood.
You got it. There Will Be Blood. My number 7.
I rewatched it.
Talk to me.
And I'm not. Listen. Funny enough, I can tell you something after. I'll tell you off screen what I saw, and I don't agree with that. I rewatched it. Great film. Performance stellar. What I didn't appreciate the first time, Paul Dano.
Oh, so good. Bro, I've said this to you. If Paul Dano were not acting alongside Daniel Day-Lewis in arguably the greatest performance of all time, come at me, I don't care. Paul Dano's got an Oscar right now. He was so fucking good in this. It was ridiculous. But Daniel Day-Lewis is, I don't know if you've ever read about him, his extracurricular activities. Like, the guy's a fucking carpenter. Like, he's one of the like nicest, gentle people ever. This reinforces how fucking good he is. Because for a man to go full evil, and I don't mean evil in the sense of easily interpreted evil. Look, he's killed a load of people. Obvious evil. This is a different type of evil. This is a dehumanizing evil. This is a raping of land evil. This is breaking promises evil. This is murder through emotional anguish evil. This is disowning one's family evil. Like, the levels of Daniel Plainview and what Daniel Day-Lewis manages to show in this character is just like, to put yourself through that, because you know fucking Day-Lewis goes method with his shit, yeah? The frame of mind he must have had to put himself in to do this. Again, add it to the cold shower list, because wow. Brother, like, yes, the obvious thing to talk about is the Day-Lewis performance, the brilliant dialogue, the brilliant script, I drink your milkshake and all of that. Let's also not forget that this movie is beautiful to behold.
So here's the thing, right? One thing when you talk about the beginning of this, when you talk about the beauty of this film, appreciate that in the first 15 to 20 minutes, there are practically no words. I think it's like, oh, there it is. That's the most you get, and it's just about whispers it out. It's a silent movie at the beginning. It's all there without any titles. You get just about the year. That's all you get. You just see what's going on. You read like a certificate and that. It's beautifully told in the way it's shot.
That's visceral. Like, when you consider what happens right at the beginning of this film, that accident in the oil pump, it's like, Jesus fuck. And so I'm going to echo a lot of what people have said here. So Chris Trengo, for instance, says Dano is brilliant in There Will Be Blood. Andy Hart says, great performance, but I struggled with Paul Thomas Anderson movies. I found this a real slog. I'd agree with that. And that's the slog element is kind of why I didn't put this movie higher. Because, as I said, my number 1 is locked and is immovable, right? But I was like, oh, There Will Be Blood. It's got to be in the sort of between 2 to 4 position. But then I thought about it. I was like, how much am I really going to rewatch it because it's a slog? But is it deserving of being in this top 10 list? Fuck yes, it is, for all the reasons we've said. So, Andy, I agree with you. Mixed memory.
That's the part I have to agree as well. Yeah, go.
It is a slog. It is a slog. Mixed Memorability says, Nico, There Will Be Blood is brilliant, but which do you think was the better Day-Lewis performance? There Will Be Blood or Gangs of New York? There Will Be Blood, not even a contest. Gangs of New York isn't even an argument for his top 2 or 3 roles. You've got to look at My Left Foot. You've got to look at In the Name of the Father. Gangs of New York with Bill the Butcher is there, but it's not top 3 Day-Lewis for me. No way. More evil than Skeletor. Gavin Mann with an Ali G reference. Harry's boy says There Will Be Blood, In With a Shout is best of all time. I agree. Just such a raw performance in a great setting. I maintain it is the greatest acting performance ever.
It's that mix of great performance, great setting versus the slog. Like, I'm watching it and you see he's a liar, but you see he's a man just trying to make the best of, like, that's the way I look at it, mate. And I was like, what am I doing? And then after I saw the real evil, maybe it needs to be really knocked on the nose for me. And I think that's the point. Because it's slog, sometimes you kind of not switch off, you're watching, but you're like, what are we getting to? And I think that's the weird part. That's why I couldn't make it.
Well, we're getting to what Pedro is bringing up. There Will Be Blood is probably my number one amazing take on America. And it is that slow slog, gradual turn from church to bank. Yeah. That very radical change that America went through in a very short period, long period, if you look at it in actual years, but how civilization evolves. Like, America left the church and went to the bank very quickly. I know they're all Bible bashing freaks for most part. No disrespect if you're American out there, but you know, a country which is still talking about abortion being like a no, it's like, okay, women's rights don't exist there then. Yeah, I mean, in some ways completely backwards because of the close attachment to the church. In some ways very advanced and forward thinking. In other ways, also very backwards. Where's the social health care? I'm not going to go on an American bashing, but I could very easily. Then again, why no better? We just produced a buffoon called Boris Johnson, who people are still now saying like, oh, let's get him back in. We're not going to go politics. I'm sorry. Harry's boy says, it's not dialogue heavy, but the dialogue is magnificent. There is a line that Day-Lewis says, which as a father now actually hurts me to my core. It's, what's the exact line? It's, you're making me regret you being my son. It's like, oh yeah, but fuck. How do you just
lines in there? Poor. When he says worse than a bastard or something, you're like, whoa.
He's brutal, bro. He is brutal. Yeah, Republic Productions wants to bring it back here. Do you hate Revenge of the Sith or No Time to Die more? I don't know. AJ, what do I hate more?
No Time to Die.
Do you think so?
Without an argument, because while it's stupid and has a terrible build-up to the greatest moment, or the announcing of Darth Vader, right? There are many problems that you can pick at with Revenge of the Sith, right? It still honored the fact that it leads into episode 4. Do you understand? That is what it does. Whereas going back to your review, it's the breaking of tradition of who Bond is. It's the killing of Bond. Again, spoiler for anyone who's not seen it, but I think it's out there now. It debonded Bond, and I think that you can get a story. You can tell a story wrong, which is what Revenge of the Sith done for me and for yourself as well. You know, you can tell a story wrong, but still honor what you're working with. No Time to Die didn't do that, and I think that's what grinds your gears even more.
Yeah, and I mean, so that video is still getting views, you know, the No Time to Die review, and it's still getting comments. And there's one that came up recently going, well, this is a fallacy, the idea of Bond not being able to die. What a load of bullshit. Didn't you know that in the book From Russia with Love, Bond actually dies? Do you know what I have to say to that? And I did in the comments. Cool story. There's 60 years now of creating a precedence whereby Bond doesn't die in film. We are talking about film. How many Bond fans of his films have actually read the fucking books? I know people will claim to have fucking, you know, read all the Bond books. They're lying. I know Big Tone claims to have watched known Guardians of the Galaxy. He's lying. I know every wrestling fan on the planet claims to watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. They're lying. Just because you claim that some shit is there, or that, yeah, I've read all the Bond books. Fuck off.
Was From Russia with Love the last book then?
No.
Right, so then, mute argument then.
Complete moot argument. And they didn't have a comeback for that, obviously. That was a cool story. It's like, yes, that happened a long time ago. That book was written. There is a precedence that has been created on screen. I'm talking about on screen. We have been, over the course of multiple generations now, going back to my fucking dearly departed great-grandmother, we're going back to Bond doesn't die. The mystery is how, not if. I don't want if. Fuck if. Give me how.
You see, but I don't even want to bring this back up, but if Bond was part of, and obviously it's a franchise, but that Bond verse, that Craig verse, let's call it, was the beginning and end of Bond, it may have been something different. But as you said, there's a legacy, a passing of the torch, which has gone on for generations. 6 decades, right? 6 decades worth of passing the torch. And you just said, no, we're done now. Like, what gave that person that right? And that's where it's like, where does it go? Well, you rebooted. Let's get this right. Because if they done it with Pierce Brosnan, like, well, where does it go? Maybe. But they didn't kill off Pierce Brosnan. They didn't even connect it to the Pierce Brosnan. They rebooted. They took it
and
right
then they
back.
took the entitled, arrogant decision in that reboot to say, let's reboot again. Let's kill him again. Let's kill him and reboot again.
So it's like you're not even allowing people. You're not even. You're so self-entitled. You're not even passing the torch on. It's like this is my saga, and this is it. You know, even down to let's. I'll bring it in. It's not even a spoiler. The Nolan verse. It ended with, "Oh, your name's Robin." We see a depiction in Italy. Like, is he there? Is he not? It's open to interpretation. You could have seen it, as someone put up earlier. Oh, where's Bond? You could have had the questions. Fuck, even Ocean's 8 has you questioning whether Danny Ocean is alive or dead. Yet somehow No Time to Die had to just officially show us the death. Fuck off.
Yep, fuck off indeed.
And with that, I think that's where we've proven you hate No Time to Die more.
I think you're right. Fuck that film. But there's one film, maybe No Time to Die needs to be my worst, now that we're talking about it. Shit. I really fucking do hate that film.
Go against the grain. I appreciate it.
A few comments here. Harry's boy says, young Dylan Frazier never acted again after There Will Be Blood. Chris Trengov says, There Will Be Blood is Daniel Day-Lewis's best performance, hands down one of the greatest performances of all time. Or if you're Nico Lurot, the greatest performance of all time. There's a the for you, AJ. Riri Thomas with a the fighter. So fucking hard to leave off. So hard to fucking leave off. You know how much that hurt me to leave off. Oh God. Oi, what have we got? Harry's boy says Daniel Craig took the torch home with him. I hope he fucking sits on it and burns his bollocks. He did enough bollocks trading in Casino Royale by being whipped. I hope he now sits on a fucking torch. Twat. Chris Trengov, we're done. This is not a James Bond episode.
No, put it up. Put it up just because you mentioned it.
I am not even close to understanding your two's hatred of No Time to Die because the primary character died.
Here's the thing.
If it was an isolated movie, there wouldn't be an issue. It is a 60-year franchise of the character living and creating the fantasy of how he survives. This isn't Star Trek Enterprises. This isn't fucking Scotty going, Mr. Spock, it just might work. Shit fucking worked every week before this motherfucker. Right? If you rewrote the computers to the navigation bar, it's the same fucking line every week. This isn't Dragon Ball where they go, I've never seen power levels like this. It's like, there are lines, that are going to happen. The heroes are always going to blah, 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 blah. James Bond is a character who always lives. That's the point. He's the spy that we all want to be because we know that we're going to get a hot girl, we're going to drive a cool car, we're going to play with some cool gadgets, and we are going to fucking survive and beat up a mustache-twirling, $1 million larger-than-life villain.
Not a crying accountant and a man with a passion for flowers. But
not an isolated movie, Chris.
So here's the thing. This is where I will agree. Like, if we take it into the why it bothered you, I've broken it down. Do you remember when I came back from the global one and I came back and I said, I agree with your points, but it did not bug me as much. Primarily because I've not seen all the Bonds, but two, I take it as its own branch. I don't see it as the continuation of the Bond series because they reset it and they've closed it. So whichever way they choose to continue now, maybe the next Bond will be following on from Golden, the last Die Another Day or whatever Daniel Pierce Brosnan's last movie was. That's why I take it as a separate situation. That's why it didn't bug me as much because I'm like, well, they reset it anyways. If they're going to kill him off, fuck him. That's the way I took it. But I'm proud of Bond, as you said. Brits waved the flag for Bond, but not enough for it to be like, oh God, I hate it. But I also understand why it would wind you up.
Winds me the fuck up. And to answer one final Bond question, who says they need to go by the same rules of past movies? Because you've created a precedent, you've created a culture of how and not if with Bond. That it's like, I don't even know how to.
Here's a question. Here's a question I'm going to put out. Follow a bit of a rhetorical question. If you're going to kill off Bond, kill off Bond. Let it be. You don't have to follow the same rhetoric. You're absolutely right. It hurts, but you don't have to. However, why do you then end your film the same way the others do? Not even the others, because I don't recall seeing any others. By putting that end green saying Bond will return.
Wank.
That's where you don't have to follow it, but you just want to still be part of the Bond world and still want to carry on with the passing of the torch, but you've killed it. What are we meant to do now? What am I meant to buy into with that? Unless it's a mystery where I wasn't dead. I injected myself with that flower over there and then parachuted out. Yeah, maybe. But then it still makes it look absolute bullshit because it's gone beyond that point now. And that's where the situation goes wrong. No, you don't have to follow the narrative. Yes, we can be butthurt that the character died, but don't then give me Bond will return. How? No.
He's dead.
That's, I think it's stupid.
End it. If you want to end it, end it.
Yeah.
Twat. Yeah. Craig, you're a cunt.
Okay.
My number 6. Yes. My number 6. My top MCU film. Avengers Assemble.
I had a feeling this is what you were going to say. I know there's a strong passion for Ultron, but I know that moment for you will forever live on.
What, seeing Ultron on screen?
I mean, there's that, but I'm talking in Avengers, the pan round.
Bro, yeah, the pan around, it's one of those, it's the shark coming out the water. It's going in front of the moon in E.T. It's the ride of the Valkyrie. Yeah, I know I'm giving it some big praise here, but you can say it doesn't matter if you like or hate the MCU. I don't like E.T. I can still recognize that fucking the iconicity of that moonshot.
The rumbling of the water in Jurassic Park. It's that first time.
It's there, you know? There are these moments, and this is not about whether you like the MCU or not. There is no denying that pan around shot to Alan Silvestri's score, where the Avengers are all assembled for the first time. Yes, as far as the Geek Boys are concerned, we're looking at it going, oh my God, I can't believe this is actually on screen. Am I actually watching this? Forget the geek stuff. This is the blueprint for a perfect comic book movie. There are stakes. People die in this film. There's a villain who's actually good, something that until this point the MCU had been criminally guilty of. It is not bloated, something that after this film the MCU has become progressively guilty of, being bloated. It is, despite its epic scale, it is contained. It changed cinema, this film. It made you think, okay, not only can super movies as character pieces be good, ensembles can be good. They can be epic. They can be fun. They can be well produced. They can be well written. This film as a comic book movie is fucking flawless for me. Flawless. It hits all the points. It gives you everything you want as a geek. It gave me everything I wanted as a film fan. It made me literally, I remember watching this with my ex at the time. I wasn't with my wife then, but with my ex, we were both in the dinner, about literally giggling and laughing because we couldn't believe what was on screen. It's fuck, are we watching this? Is this actually happening? And I go back to what I said in Old Boy, for a movie to give me that sort of an emotional reaction, it is deserving of being in my top 10, irrespective of what you think of the MCU. I love Avengers Assemble. love it.
Listen, it's one of those weird ones where sometimes I get in my own feelings, right? And it's also a case of being promoted. Like, I think you had seen it 3 times, Nath had seen it twice before I actually got around to seeing it. And I have these visions that when they don't come through, I'm a bit like, oh, why didn't they? It's a personal butthurt, then I have to get over it, which I did. The actual culmination of, let's call it Justice League in real life, because Justice League was the first time I ever saw like superheroes joined together, you know? Seeing a live action version of that and the way they done it by giving you each person's origin story and bringing it all together, absolutely beautiful, absolutely perfect. You can't argue with what it's done. And as you said, Loki as the villain, and when you look at the other villains along the way, none was that big of a threat. And the way they made it happen worked really well. So I can't help but agree.
Cool. I just got to address one thing. Republic Redactions. No. I hated Avengers. Fuck no. Yeah. You gave me a heart attack with that. No, fuck no. Fuck that abominable piece of shit Avengers. Can I answer? Shut up, bro. You like Revenge of the Sith. Keep your unlimited power.
I love the way stuff can really like. It's one of those things that people either love something or hate something, and it's that fire that burns in people when they see it. Yeah, it is what it is.
There's nothing offensive about Avengers. That's what I don't get. Is it the most engaging thing ever? No. Is it highly entertaining? Yes. Is there a lot that's offensive with Revenge of the Sith? Oh, yeah. Let's start with the script. Annie, I want to raise our child on Naboo. You're so beautiful. Well, that's because I'm in love with you. No, that's because I'm in love with you. So love has blinded you. Are you fucking kidding me with this shit?
Leave it.
No.
Not your worst, so leave it.
No, it's not. But if man's gonna say fuck a piece of shit, I'm gonna present him a piece of shit and give factual evidence as to why script writing 101 was ignored, and therefore it is a greater piece of shit. So no, you're number 5.
My number 5 is the punch from earlier. The only one, I believe. Guy Ritchie's Snatch.
Yes.
Now, you know what I thought of when I looked at the Snatch is how different the 21st century has been within the decades, you know? Because I don't think you could recreate something like Snatch now. You probably could, but it was so golden and it was so of its time.
Yeah.
You know,
as you
said, the Gentleman is close. It's close, but it's not Snatch. It's not Snatch. I still maintain. Yeah. I still maintain for anyone who's seen both of them, and I don't know. I can't remember the year. I think Lock, Stock is 99, so I don't think it falls.
Lock, Stock came out first.
Yeah, no. If it falls in 21st century, that's what I can't remember.
No,
it's yes. I still maintain whichever one you see first is the one you prefer. Everyone I've seen and I've asked a question, it's always gone that way.
Snatch is a better film.
I saw Snatch first, and
I saw Lock, Stock first.
Snatch
really?
Okay. I didn't know
Snatch is a better film.
I didn't know that. Okay, but yeah, the madness of this film. You know, when it came, if you go back to us back when this was released, there were 2 directors I absolutely had. I had the feelings for it. Was
Tarantino and Guy Ritchie.
And it was Guy Ritchie. It was like the UK version of it. It's the way these guys write dialogue. It's the way they direct it and bring these characters to life and have you just questioning stuff, but laughing at stuff, relating to. That's the part of it. It's that they give you these relatable characters, or even if it's not to yourself, it's people you know that way. You know, even though it's crazy, but it's the way speech is delivered. The stuff that you look at and think in. I'm looking at the guys. And they're about to do a bank robbery, and it's like, Tyrone, why didn't you park there? It's too tight. Too tight. Tyrone, you could fit a jumbo fucking jet in there. It's those parts. It's those quirky lines that made it very East End and real to life. The madness behind it all. It's essentially a heist movie for the better or worse of it, but you don't see it as that. Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's all the different mad elements of it. If you ever said to me, oh, heist movie, Ocean's 11 will jump into my head straight away. I wouldn't think of Snatch, but it's crazy. 2 people have shut me down.
Read it for the pod.
Yeah, Andy Hart says, agreed. I also saw Lock, Stock first. Snatch is a better film. So you 2 have shut down my theory, and it's weird because, Nick, I should have known that. But 95%, 98%, I'll put it down to, of people I've asked If
So exactly 100 people then, yeah? Andy and I make up the 2%.
I said percent. I didn't say 100 people.
Well, if there's 100 people...
Okay, I get what you're saying. I can't remember how many people I've asked. I'm just breaking it down on that. Do we have to... It's a movie show, not a math show. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Anyway.
Well, 2 people are 98%, bro. I'm not giving you fucking the Pythagorean theorem here, even though that's not hard.
I'm aware of that. Okay. X%. Are we going to go in that? Because I don't know how many people I've categorically asked to watch from the prefer between the two. Are you happy now? Yeah? We've shut down the 98. It's now been replaced by X, which could quite possibly be 98. I don't know how many people I've spoken to.
Yes.
Right. X% of people tend to go with the first, but I just love absolutely everything about it. And I would be remiss to move on from this film without talking about Brad Pitt as a traveller with an incomprehensible Irish accent, which I...
Traveller? You mean a pikey?
I mean, the film says it. I didn't want to offend the traveling community, but that's what they said. Yeah,
they're called pikeys.
Yeah,
with their dags.
Yeah, and Bricktop, one of the most menacing villains in such a diminutive man that you can't even believe that he's meant to be that dangerous. Yet he pulls it off. He has his henchmen. He has his pigs. There is not a thing about this film I don't love.
Do you know what nemesis means?
Go. You always do it. I always forget.
A righteous infliction of retribution manifested by an appropriate agent, personified in this case by a horrible cunt.
Me.
Oh, I love it. Mixed memorabilia says... The Gentleman was a good comeback by Guy Ritchie. Lock, Stock is an excellent film, and the possibility, the subconscious foundation for the masterpiece that is Snatch. Snatch.
Oh, it for sure is the foundation. For sure. There's no denying it. There's no denying it.
Republic Production says, I said some of the romantic dialogue in Star Wars Episode 3 to my ex when we were together, and she didn't find it too odd. Well, she is your ex, yes?
Don't go there, bro. There are loads. There were low.
Okay, fine. Maybe that was a bit low.
Yeah,
but
that was no.
Brother, look. If you can find someone who, like you, appreciates the piece of shit that is Revenge of the Sith, power to you both. The fact that you found someone who equally appreciates this doesn't mean that now all of a sudden you're right. It just means there are two of you who are wrong. That's not good dialogue.
Potentially 97% with Big Tone. But I'm not going to go there. I don't know the figures.
Unlimited power. What you say when you come.
Stop it. Oh, dear. Mike's gone. Oh. Yeah, you're back.
I'm very glad that cut out. I made a cum sound and then said unlimited power.
Leave it. Right. Enough Star Wars. I am vetoing. Unless it's in your worst.
Also, watch Lock, Stock before Snatch, but Snatch is the better and all-time great.
My theory is now debunked. I will never quote it again. Thank you. I'm glad people appreciate it more. Not taking anything away from Lock, Stock, guys.
Andy Hart, I'm interested about this. On the subject of Guy Ritchie, Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerre, was heavily trailed at the start of the year, but the release was pulled because the villain is Ukrainian. I was wondering why it was fucking pulled. Thank you for informing me of that, Andy. Apparently, it's meant to release on the 25th of December. I'm dying to see it.
Who knows? That would be interesting. That would be interesting to see if they still. I mean, when you see, this is the funny thing. Yeah. This is if you're going to talk 20th century versus 21st century, right? 20th century, you put Rocky in the ring against Ivan Drago and you kill the Cold War. 21st century, but do you know what I mean? 21st century says you got a Ukrainian villain, can't do it. Interesting. And you know when you put it into context,
you can't portray the Ukrainians as villains with what's going on at the moment, surely.
But no. But do you get what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is the context in which you take a country and just, for all intents and purposes, you'd be like, okay, there was a war. This was produced before. Let the film release. Do you get what I'm saying? That's the key point. I'm not calling the Ukrainians a villain. Hell no. But
okay, good. I'm very glad.
No, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of context, when you look at what was happening in the world, they literally built a film based off of what was going on with it and made it happen. Whereas in the current context now, you're pulling the film based on what's going on. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's interesting.
Had a familiar face join us. Nathaniel Born Pro Wrestling is here. Hello.
Hey, Nathaniel.
Nathaniel.
I'm going to be subscribing to you. I have to go back for my
Thank you for joining us from LA, Daniel. Much appreciated. That was your number 5, AJ, yes?
Yes, it was.
All right, my number 5. It was my number 1 last week. Martin McDonough's 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Am I crazy to put this on as one of my top 10 of the 21st century? I think not.
So, as I said to you before, I feel I need to rewatch this film. Just because the way you explained it, and I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the film, right? Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the film. I expected a different plot device, so I kept waiting for that to happen. Where it didn't, I watched it. I was like, okay, not bad, but where is it? Do you get what I'm saying? Now that I watch it under a different spectrum, I need to see how I truly feel about the film. That's my personal thing.
Fair enough. I mean, that's fair. Sometimes movies need a rewatching. Godfather looking at you. But the reality is, AJ, is that I mentioned when I brought up A Prayer Before Dawn, it's like it may not be the immediate one that people go for. And God knows I've been reading Twitter for the last few days and seeing what people have been suggesting. This movie didn't come up. A Prayer Before Dawn didn't come up. A few movies in my top 5 did not come up. But I'm going off of the basis of what movie, when I saw it, made me kind of just, not run to get a cold shower, but fucking grab the arms of the cinema I was in, or sit back in my sofa at home and go, whoa. You like Prayer Before Dawn did it to me. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri did it to me. I was blown away by this film. Now, if Daniel Day-Lewis's performance as Plainview in There Will Be Blood is the greatest of all time, this movie cemented Frances McDormand as my favorite female actor, actress, whatever the fucking appropriate term is now. I mean, no offense. She's better than Meryl Streep for me. Like, Frances McDormand is nuts good. And this movie, solidifies her position. It's, oh, God, I cannot describe. I love that tense, almost like sticky mosquito infested air that you feel permeating the town. I love the characters who none of them are really likable, but you understand their motivations. You get behind some of them. You're waiting for them to backstab each other. I love the MacGuffin. I love the plot device they use of these 3 billboards as the middle finger to established American police force. I cannot tell you how much this movie resonated with me and how much I love it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Comment? Yeah. So I saw you look over. What does it come from?
Republic Productions says, as a Missouri guy myself, I'm honored by that, Nico. For once we agree on something. My guy! Thank you, sir.
I mean, despite the hate of Revenge of the Sith, you are both Star Wars guys. Like,
Yep. Andy Hart says, love this movie, but not my favorite Martin McDonagh film. Oof, I think it might be mine, Andy, but fair enough. Mixed Memory Ability says, Nico, I watched this the other day. The film was building really well, and then the end disappointed me and overall left me disappointed with the film. See, it did that to a lot of people. Personally speaking, I loved the ambiguity of the ending. Does she, doesn't she go through with it? I loved it. Pedro Sancto says, all discussion of favorite versus best, huh, Nico? It is. Like, even if we were to do best, even that becomes a matter of subjectivity, because what I may consider best, Avengers, other people, Republic Productions, may consider to be shit. So,
yeah,
even best is a matter of subjectivity. Nathaniel Bourne, I see your comment, bro. I'm starring it, which we'll come back to later. Gavin Mann says, it's Martin McDonagh's film, so I can't argue with it. Would have been In Bruges and 7 Psychopaths ahead of it. Will Banshee of Inisherin surpass any of them? I should really shut up about it. No, Gavin, I'm with you, bro. I cannot wait for Banshee of Inisherin. I cannot wait. Pedro Sancto says, Martin McDonagh's weakest film and still really good. Yep.
That says a lot. That says a lot.
Yep. Your number 4, please, mate.
Right, in at number 4. I was actually torn about this one. For the longest while, it was The Prestige. Then 3 things are sure. 3 things are sure.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. I went with The Dark Knight.
There it is. I knew this would come up. That's exactly why it's on the thumbnail.
Do you know what? That was that. If I'm very honest with you, the same way you said Twitter kind of gave you a kick up the arse. I had this. I knew Nolan was going to be in there. I wasn't sure what film. Right, so I had this.
I thought you would have gone with Inception.
Nearly did. But I'll be honest. Prestige was even closer though. Based on this battle royal that I had, is what just came listed. I'm not gonna lie. I literally googled films of. And I just put 2000, 2001 continuously. And Inception didn't, maybe it made the list. I can't remember. But yeah, the Battle Royal came out between those two. And I was like, which one does it? Then I saw your post. I was like, fuck, it's got to be The Dark Knight. It was literally that gave it away. Had you not done it, I think I would have gone with The Prestige because I only wanted one comic book movie in there.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Bro, do you know the only reason I didn't include The Dark Knight?
Knowing I would.
Yep, that's it.
It could have been completely left off.
That is the I knew, bro. Batman's your favorite character. This is the best Batman movie.
But when I broke it down again, I gave my reasons behind Endgame, and I thought that's all I wanted. I don't want to do too much, but yeah, Batman is my favorite superhero. Take away brands. This is it. You know, that's the guy for me. It's one thing. I think you mentioned it before, and it's always stuck to me as a good point about this film. Is it's a detective movie before it's a superhero movie. And that's not my defense as to why it's in there, but it's the basis, how grounded they made it. The shutting people up of no one can ever replace Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Seeing that poster of Heath Ledger, just seeing the picture on
everyone is replaceable except Daniel Day-Lewis. Everyone is replaceable. Everyone. Hugh Jackman can't be recast as Wolverine. Shut the fuck up.
It's those moments there. It gave you a new psyche to those. It took Two-Face to a new level from I'm a Batman Forever guy. We know this, but it's the way they developed Harvey Dent. No, but do you know what I'm saying? You take Tommy Lee Jones and you take this one. It's a complete.
Hang on, fuck the Tommy Lee Jones one. The Two-Face in the animated series was awesome.
He was awesome.
Awesome.
Cool. It's the building behind the character, the actual heartbreak of him turning into Two-Face because of how much you believed in the Boy Scout essentially before, and to see how much he changed along the way. No, absolutely amazing film. Just one that I remember watching it, and I think it's one of those rare times when you'd come back from Thailand and we actually went to the cinema together. It's like not often. One thing that was guaranteed when you did come back was we were going to go to Nando's. It's not often I could say we went to the cinema.
That's true.
We missed Avengers. We missed a lot of films together.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight we actually saw, and I remember we were getting up, and you made that good point because it's like there's no post credits, and like no, let's stay for the end to pay that tribute to Heath Ledger and seeing that. You know, it's those moments that I think it's an absolute great, and that's how it made its way in.
Yeah. I mean, this is that performance from Heath is another. It's in the discussion for one of the greatest ever. I don't put it up there with There Will Be Blood, but it's definitely in the discussion for one of the best acting performances because what he did with the Joker was so unexpected and so powerful. But yeah, it's a work of art, The Dark Knight. It's an absolute work of art. Depending on which argument you want to go down, Avengers versus The Dark Knight, I'd say as a whole, The Dark Knight is probably the better movie. I'd say Avengers is probably the better comic book movie. There's an argument to be made that even further reinforces The Dark Knight in that it broke the mold of what a comic book movie is. It showed they don't have to be straight out of the comic strip. They can transcend the genre and be something greater than the sum of their parts. And bro, it's worthy. The only reason The Dark Knight didn't make my list is because I knew I could rely on you.
And honestly, it's your thumbnail. Your thumbnail was the tip. So hey, it worked out. Silver screen synergy. Hey. Captain America, salute to you there, my bro.
I got you.
Okay, you're number 4.
I fucking love The Dark Knight. I wish I could have included it, but yeah, my man's got me. My number 4, Again, going to surprise a lot of people. Not you, AJ, but may surprise a lot of people. Back when we were reviewing movies, I stepped out of this and went, bro, we've been looking for 10 out of 10. You didn't give it, I did. 10 out of 10. And you know my rule when I was scoring and giving scores, I did not give 10s as a matter of principle, because unequivocally, no movie is perfect. I thought this movie was perfect. Room.
My number 3. Yeah, there you go. There you go. And I can I be honest with you? Room was number 1. It's only passed because the only reason Room is not number 1 is because I've made it number 1 too many times before. And honestly, I think that's it. Legitimately, that's it. That journey that I went through on that film. Shock confession, right? The Oscars, I've just known it as an award, and I always thought I just saw awards as award shows. I never paid attention to Academy, this, that, and the other. It's just the awards, who got it, what have you. Most of it, you fucking put MTV awards in there, like movie awards, like the Movie Mount. Like, it's ridiculous, but I just watched them and took them for what they were. This was the one that made me pay attention in the beginning, in the building of Silver Screen Dudes, of what it means to be an Academy Award winning film and stuff like that. And it was studying this performance, and I was like, again, like I said, Crash gave me that serious movie moment. This was another one. And I was like, this is why people deserve awards. This is what the blueprint of an award looks like. You know, it's a touching story that just encapsulates you. It made you uncomfortable. It gave you hope at times. Well, that look gave me some bit of what was that?
Carry on.
Okay. I just found it to be such a great movie and touching story. Brilliant performance from Brie Larson. Absolutely amazing performance by a young Jacob Tremblay. And it's with those that there's just nothing for me to hate on with this film. I have aunts who watched this film. They hadn't watched it based on my recommendation. They happened to have seen it after. And I was like, oh, you're watching The Room. You're in for a treat. And they're like, oh, yeah, we've watched it. And each time they watch it, there are tears in their eyes when they watch it. Like, that's how much it means to them. So it's such a truly great movie that had to be in there, had to be in the top 4.
Do you know what, bro? I rewatched it for this. I rewatched it for the purpose of this. For the purpose of this pod, and it hits me so. It already fucking hit me hard. You know, I gave it a 10 out of 10. It hits me so much harder as a parent. I can't tell you. Like, and it's one of those things. I'm not trying. It's so difficult to talk about parenthood with people who aren't parents, because the age old expression is you don't get it, and it's the weirdest thing is that we'll try, mate, bro. You can't get it if you don't have a child who you're raising and who's looked at you with unrelenting love, vulnerability, fear, turning to you for reassurance. This little human being who is completely at your mercy and who 100% relies on you and lets you know that they rely on you. But you don't know that it's possible to love something this much. It's the weirdest thing until it happens to you. And then you're like, oh.
He's not watching. He's not watching, but I'm going to put him on blast. I remember Zane being born. And this is an uncle. And I remember coming back to our area where we live. And some of our friends came running up and, Darren. And he was just so somber. Like, what's up, man? You're a dad. He's like, yes, it's different now. It's different. And that was the first time I've ever understood from anyone the change, because he couldn't explain it. He's like, it's just different. And that is something that has always stuck to me when it comes to parenthood. I was happy as an uncle, but that tone, that look that says it's different now, can never be matched.
Mm. Yeah, it's. I can only imagine the anguish that a parent would have to go through to raise their children in that surrounding, because the hardest thing to do as a parent, you realize, isn't raising your child. It's a strange thing, but listen to this: it's keeping a brave face for the child.
No, I believe it.
Like, not ever raising your voice, not ever showing fear, not ever showing anger, like just keeping a straight,
giving up hope, just
giving up hope. Just keeping the whole, everything is okay. You You have to keep feeding them that because they rely so heavily upon you. And what Brie Larson did with this role, equally Jacob Tremblay, because what's interesting is their roles were so diametrically opposed to one another. You know, Brie Larson on one hand is trying to rediscover a life that she lost. Jacob Tremblay's character, the kid, he's trying to come to terms with the scope and scale of how big the world is, having only ever known 4 fucking walls. Like, it's such a fucking mind bender of what it is.
You know, going back to what you were saying about being a parent, it's giving your child that much hope in the world, in the way that they believe that that is the world. That little porter cabin of nothing is the world. Don't let them know, like, be aware of it, but not to fully give out, like, it's so much better outside. You know, until a point of breakout, it was, this is our world. This is, you know, this is the universe. You know, it's something to be admired.
Okay, guys, I do want to give James Bond a rest, but I am just going to address one thing that's happened. So it's just been brought into my attention in the chat that Aidan Turner is the bookie's favorite to play the next James Bond. I'd like to say
Hardy was 2 weeks ago. Like, I'm a bit annoyed.
It means nothing. 1 week it's Tom Hardy, then it's Cillian Murphy, then it's Aidan Turner,
then it's Idris Elba.
Fuck that guy. Then it's Idris Elba. Then it's Michael Fassbender. Then it's fucking Henry Cavill. Like, until...
What was the other one? The King of the North. What's his name?
Richard Madden.
Yeah, he was up there for the longest while.
Until it's signed, please, please, please stop running with this person is the next Bond. He's not. It's not happened. Do I like Aidan Turner? Is a potential to play Bond? Sure. He gives me a bit of a Timothy Dalton vibe, which is not a bad thing. Fine. I'm all good with it. Nothing's confirmed yet. We move on. Until when it's confirmed, you can be rest assured we will be talking about it here. You can rest assured we will be talking about it here. Nothing's confirmed yet. So yeah, that was my 4, your 3, AJ. So my 3, yes?
Yeah.
I got to go international cinema here. Mixed memorabilia. I know you were really fucking wanting this one to be in the top 4. I got you, brother. I got you. Because, and this isn't being influenced, AJ. This was like my number 3 in every. Like, this was toying up and down. At one point, it was my 8, and then it actually went to my number 2, and then I was like, no, fuck.
Don't you love when a film climbs up the rankings? It's weird, isn't it? You have it somewhere, you're like, no, it's better than this.
Yeah. The more I thought about this film, the more I was like, hold up. We're talking about my emotions of films that stuck with me. Jesus Christ, I remember watching this film back when I was at school, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. I remember getting like a bootleg in Thailand of this film and watching it so much that I fucked up the bootleg. Not saying much because it's a bootleg, but basically I watched it a lot. It's one of the DVDs.
The fact that you said back at school, I'm kicking myself. I forgot it. I think I know what it is.
You may do. It's from Brazil. I'm bringing in a Brazilian film. Cidade de Deus, also known as City of God. I would argue the best gangster film of the 21st century. Nothing touches it.
Yeah, you could well be right there, my friend.
This is the best gangster film of the 21st century. I'm not well versed in Brazilian movies. I've seen a few, but this is hands down the best Brazilian movie I've ever seen by a country fucking mile. Yes, I've seen City of Men. It's good. This is way better. This, you know how I described last week, Wes Anderson doesn't do stories. He does odysseys. This is an odyssey. Mm-hmm. This film is a favela odyssey. This literally tracks the Odysseyic life of 2 kids coming in and out of each other's lives, all perfectly bookended with the chicken, to starting as kids. One chooses a route of violence, one chooses a route of education, and how they, despite those very varying choices, never actually grow that far apart from each other for the wrong reasons. Like, they're not buddies. These 2 aren't people who want to be friends. They're acquaintances.
Yeah.
You know? I believe if they were on social media, they wouldn't be liking each other's posts. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This film is such a tour de force when it comes to filmmaking. It was such an eye opener for me at the time as to what international cinema could be. Because my scope of international cinema back when I was at school was, well, there's British cinema, Carry On films, there's French cinema, Latin, and of course there's Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people talk about Bollywood, and I'm like, I'm not watching all that dancing bullshit. This is me back at school. I'm not saying I think
No,
that.
listen, you're not wrong.
And then this comes along. And it's something my stepdad rented. Just went to a Blockbuster back in the day. He was really good at finding these weird, obscure films, my dad. Like Mysterious Skin is another one. For those of you who know Mysterious Skin, respect. That's a fucking great film. Weird little indie film. And yeah, he would always find films like that. He found Monster before it was Mysterious Skin. He would find movies like Mysterious Skin. He would find movies like Dead Man's Shoes. He was really good at finding these unheard of gems that, 20 years down the line, people look back on and revere, right? But yeah, he found this City of God, and it was like, whoa, fuck. It is such a hard watch in some ways because it's kiddie violence at the end of the day, man. It's a hard fucking watch, and it's really sad to see the life of what these favela kids have to go through. Like how worthless life is there. I mean, I've seen that shit in Thailand. How much they don't value life. I haven't lived it. I've seen it, but to be able to capture something like this on screen and relay it effectively so that you have a minutiae understanding of what the characters are going through is such a fucking hard feat in cinema. And yet this movie achieves that. It's amazing. Chida de Deus. Absolutely amazing.
Nice. Not much I can add, actually. Not much I can add.
Okay. Andy Hart says another one on my list. Pedro Santos says City of God is quite the achievement. A lot of non-actors giving brilliant performances, and the timing in the comedic scenes is impeccable. But not a fan of Mysterious Skin. Fair enough. Gavin Mann says, is City of Men the follow-up, or is that a completely different film? Unrelated follow-up, I guess you could say.
I've not seen it, must say. I actually thought it was like a direct sequel. Okay.
Mixed Memorabilia says, yes, Nico, I think everyone will remember the first time they watched City of God. Incredible masterpiece of a film and one of the greatest films of all time. I would agree with that. I would completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Your number. So that was my 3. So your 2, please, AJ.
Right. In at number 2, we talked about what was to be in there. You went with Old Boy. I went with Parasite.
You went with Parasite. Okay, number 2. Wow, fuck me.
So one of the reasons Parasite was there is that I've realized
Overroom.
So here's the 2 things. One, I realized I've always seemed to forget Parasite, apart from like whatever. The first time I'd seen Parasite, I was in at number 1. Potentially because I rewatched Parasite again in the build-up, it might be what overtook. But it was the appreciation of this film and the highlight of what life is in, kind of like similar to what you're saying in City of God, but obviously different. It shows you the have and the have not of Korea. You know, the manipulation, the turnaround of the plot twist within it, where you've got the family infiltrating, then you find out someone else has been infiltrating, then there's the hope at the end of that dare to dream, if you would. You know, it's that moment of I don't want to get in too deep in case anyone hasn't seen it, but it's trying to achieve that. It was the manipulation, how to integrate into this family. It's the way that it even though it's not the manipulation has this kind of part that has you laughing of like, oh my god, what are they going to do next? But still keeping it grounded at the same time. Then the family go on holiday. Then you've got something else which makes it take such a dark turn within the film. You know, that you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Then there's the tension of the family coming back. What's going to happen? Who's going to be revealed? Who's not going to be revealed? What comes next? Then it's that element of where you look at well, maybe these two parasites can coexist. No, they can't because of one false move. And it just that whole build behind it, I was like, I really do appreciate this film. And again, maybe maybe let's go back to the point of me being the hype man and having rewatched it over room.
On your shit, brother. I love you. Go on.
No, but it's it's the twists and turns within the different elements within the film is where I let it sit there, and I thought, that's
There's nothing like it. Like, it's quite the achievement.
Yeah.
I mean, some people would say that Bong Joon-ho's other work is superior to this. I can't comment. Parasite blew me away when I saw it. Absolutely.
Not seeing it, can't comment. That's my take on it.
Yeah. Okay. My number 2 then, AJ. I don't really have anything to add. You've summed it up. I see. Look, I apologize. My number 2 and my number 1 are going to be fucking obvious, but if you watch the show regularly. Oh, mate. Go on. Let's just do it. Here's to the ones who dream. La La Land. Was there ever any doubt that I was going to put this in my top 10? Was there any doubt that I was going to put this in my top 5? Yay, my top 3.
Yeah, that's the thing. I had hesitated at it being number 1 just because I remember that sheer passion. That sheer passion.
Do you know what?
I will never be able to.
It never went to number 1 on my list because the moment we agreed on 21st century movies, I did a quick Google check just because I wanted to see the year of release of what my number 1 was. I was like, well, nothing's beating you. It's not possible for anything to beat you. Ever. it's not doable. Huh?
I think I know where we're going.
Obviously, you know me. Of course, you know where I'm going. Of course, you know where I'm going.
And I've been having the reminders of it quite a bit because I've been watching that. Anyway, I'll get into it.
Yeah. I know what you're gonna say. Yeah. Amazon. But yeah. Oh, but that's just giving it away anyway. Look, La La Land. I'll never understand the disdain for it. I never understand people's critique of it, which is like, oh, I don't want these weird things. Like, listen, let me kind of bookend it with this. I do not like Rishi Sunak. Okay, I think that what he did. I do not like Rishi Sunak. I think that what Rishi Sunak did for us for the furlough scheme mostly was good. Chose to ignore a few million people who are self-employed. Luckily, at the time, I wasn't. And he made some ballsy moves. I think what he's done since then, he's a reprehensible human being. That's not to say I'd vote for that human turnip Liz Truss, but I do not like Rishi Sunak. Okay? However, there are criticisms that people like Politics Joe is a YouTube channel, pretty good one if you want to follow British politics. They do this terrible things that Rishi Sunak has done, and they say, "Oh, and his Ivy League education." I'm like, am I meant to hate him because he's well educated? Like, you know what? There are things people say. I'm like, you're trying to say it as a diss, but it's not resonating with me. And the reason I'm bringing this in now is because the common diss that I hear for La La Land is, I don't want to hear another movie about 2 struggling white people. It's like, you just brought the race.
Wow.
Yeah. I've heard it's a very, very, very common criticism of La La Land on Twitter. Oh, it's just 2 pretty white people struggling in LA. It's like, whew.
Yeah, but that's
exactly. But if it was 2 pretty black people struggling, would that make it all right? If it was 2 pretty Asians, would that make it all right? If it was 2 pretty Native Americans, shut the fuck up. You just made this a race thing.
That's what makes it that, though, because it can't be La La Land if it's not that. It's because there are 100 of them out there. That's what makes it a true story. And I'm not saying black people won't go to follow the dream, but that's what makes it what it is. I never actually heard that argument. But do you know what I found actually quite disgusting? And it's funny because part of what I'm redoing on what I'm doing is easy pastimes just before bed is Netflix. I'm between 2 series. I'm going to touch the other series in a second. Watching Friends. Right, I'm watching Friends again, trying to do the whole selection. And I keep getting this part where I hear that the new generation don't like Friends. They're like, oh,
I've heard this.
But the other side is where they were like, oh, there was no diversity in there. Now, here's my question to this, right? There was no diversity. There should have been a black friend. Why? Like now the further question to it is, I mean, okay, within our group we're predominantly black. We happen to have a white friend. It's not my choice. It's just how the circle happened to land.
I was about to say, and I stick out like a sore fucking thumb.
Yeah, but it is what it is. It's just the way it happens to land. But do you get what I'm saying? Like, oh, it should have had a person of color in there. It should have had a minority in there. Like, okay, but here we go. If you're that person saying it, do you have that friend just because you want to prove that you are? That you get what I'm saying? Like, you're spinning the color wheel, and I have
spinning the color wheel. It's Donald Trump bringing out his one fucking black friend saying, "Look, I'm not a racist."
But you get what I'm saying? It's like, oh, Fraser's wrong for not having a black person in there.
It had an Italian.
But do you get what I'm saying? And here we are now, where you're like, oh, La La Land, another white person struggling. Like, yeah, okay, and what? Like, so since we've become woke, white people don't struggle.
You know what? Do you know, I saw a stand-up comedy recently about this. You know, about because obviously it's a lot. It's very topical, isn't it? When the whole white privilege thing. Now, obviously, I acknowledge that white privilege is a real thing, but this stand-up comedian made this joke, and I thought it was quite brilliant. And I thought of you and me when I heard this. I was like, kinda. Is that, you know, you and me went to the same school. We grew up in similar areas. You know, and the guy in the stand-up was basically saying, like, they talk about white privilege. I must have missed that one. And he was like, there was definitely a kid in our school who had a sweater and he's now a banker. But I had black friends at school and now they're fighting with me going, you took my shit. I'm like, brother, they took my shit too. He's like, they got us fighting each other. We should be fighting them. They took my shit. That's your shit. That's our shit. I don't have any shit same as you. Don't matter what color I am. I'm fucked up same as you. And I was like, yeah, he's got a point. I mean, obviously, it's a very juvenile way of framing white privilege. No, that's obviously it's not at all what it's about, but it is also real.
Yeah. So here's something, right? I met up with my other half family recently for reasons, and one of the things that happened was her brother-in-law was coming down and he was talking about his journey in on the Uber. It's a really interesting thing here because in the journey on the Uber, they've just had a kid and he's not there with his wife because the wife was with her sister, my girlfriend. So the Uber driver was like, is this your son? Is this your kid? And he's like, yeah, it's my kid. Just the one, yeah? Okay. And yeah. So what is it with you people? You people only have... This is the thing. He literally said, I didn't get to find out the ethnicity of this.
What do you mean, you people?
But you people. So he was like, yeah, you people only have like one kid. Like, you know, you should have more. Like, white people only have one kid. Middle-aged white people only have one kid. Why don't you guys go for more?
What the fuck is that bullshit?
So, it was like, they don't have big families, essentially. So it could be one or two, but he was like, yeah, you guys only have like one or two. You guys never have big families. So my girlfriend's stepdad was like, well, that's racist. And he's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, yes, it is. That is straight up racism. And he's like, well, it's not too bad. Like, I don't mind being othered for once. Like, I am the quota of the privileged man on this earth. And I was like, yeah, but that doesn't make those statements right. Do you know what I mean? So it's in that weird tangent of where people believe is what people believe is acceptable based on like you shouldn't be offended because you've been privileged half the time. But I was like, that doesn't work with me. Like, we didn't get a chance to discuss it further. But I'm like, that was wrong. That was wrong.
What is it with you people? What is it with you people? I would turn around and say, fuck me.
Weirdest shit I ever heard. I was like, no. That's not acceptable. Like, I was about like to ask, like, wherever he was from, I'm willing to apologize for him as the minority, quote unquote. Oh, that's not right.
Weird fucking tangent from La La Land. But look, guys, regular viewers have heard me wax lyrical about La La Land so many fucking times. You know it's got a special place in my heart. It makes me cry every time. I think it's tragic while being beautifully romantic. I love the homage to classic Hollywood. I love the way Damien Chazelle makes movies. I cannot fucking wait for Babylon, which is coming out January 2023, which looks like Damien Chazelle does fucking Singing in the Rain. I can't fucking wait for that. Like, two of my favorite things, La La Land, meet Singing in the Rain. Like, yes, please, all day long. Yeah, man, adore this movie. Adore this movie.
Sorry. Francis, I love Francis's wit. So as I said, I'd like to apologize as the minority. Francis comes up with AJ. Minority Report? Well played.
One question to you, AJ, for mixed memorabilia. Have you watched Memories of Murder and Snowpiercer by Bong Joon-ho?
As in, so Memories of Murder, no. Snowpiercer, is it the Chris Evans Snowpiercer? There's no like original out there. Then yes, I've seen that as well. Yeah, I like the way he breaks down society based on those two films.
You good?
I need to see Memories of Murder.
Believe that's his first film.
Okay. Ooh. Oh, so was Parasite a third film from a director?
Thank you.
Yeah, we've done it, bro. Yeah.
Shit.
Damn. Okay, cool.
Should have thought of that one. Yeah. All right, cool, bro. So over to you and your worst.
So this popped into my head straight away. Then hippopotamus came in, and I was like, "Well,
behave."
I'm not in the mood for a debate right now." Then I was like, Tammy and the T-Rex. I was like, that's sadly not. I would have loved to. I would have loved to have put that in, but this was the film that came into my head instantly, and it's because the silver screen dudes have some stuff that they can't agree with, and it was just one of those easy go-tos. Like when I'm ever stuck for a worst, this guy comes up. So yes,
I know who. I just wonder what you're going to pick. Mm-hmm. Fuck that guy. Oh, good man.
Like no,
good
like,
man.
It's an easy cop-out, I know, but for the hype that came behind it, for the, you know, when you see certain things, right? And maybe it's because I'm very locked in, like stand-up comedy. Chris Rock was my guy, and I'm like, Kevin Hart pops up, and I'm like, it's not for me. Maybe this was because this guy was being sold as the heir apparent to Jim Carrey. So I'm like, right, let's see what it's about. And I'm like, no, you're just doing man-child so wrong and so irritating.
Wanker.
And I just couldn't get to grips with it. And on paper, I like films like Big. I like films around, who doesn't like films centered around Christmas? There's enough of the elements to say this should work and I should like it.
Right.
The delivery was absolute horseshit. Absolute horseshit. To the degree, and maybe some people say I'm wrong for it. I have never finished Elf. Right?
It's so bad.
It's lots of what I've watched, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. And it's for that I was like, yeah. I'm sure there's a lot worse out there, but Elf is in that category.
It's bad. It's fucking bad. Okay, my worst. Few I could have gone with here, AJ. You're making me rethink about No Time to Die here, you know, because man, I hate that fucking.
I mean, if you do, just literally put the poster up and let's move on, because you've discussed it at length in this episode.
Much too much, more than I would have liked to. Gavin Mann says the elf got him.
Oh yeah, it did.
Republic Productions, we're Trinity here. Elf is an abomination. All three of us can agree on that completely. Looking back at some of my reviews, I nearly went with a certain Michael Bay film.
The last night.
Oh yes, that nearly got a fucking stiffing from me again. Nearly obviously went with Revenge of the Sith. But then I kind of took a step back and I thought, what?
You've only got one comic book movie. Right?
Correct.
Okay,
what
I
really?
thought you were going to do Civil War dirty now.
No. Come on.
Bro, I thought you were going to do it.
No, it's not that deep. Civil War is not a good film, but it's not worst of the 20. No, come on.
Do you know what it is? Is when you said stuff that you can't unsee and stuff like that based on who you are, like, that's the biggest list. That's the biggest list. That's why I kind of like, oh, shit.
All the movies I've just mentioned, Civil War would be no different to this. Even if I were to consider including it, would also fall under this category. The creative decisions they made in No Time to Die. Okay, Chris Trengover said it a few times. It's fan stuff. I don't agree with the creative decisions. I'm fanboying here, right? Revenge of the Sith. Fucking hate the abomination that is that movie and the way they decided to completely dismantle the creation of the greatest villain ever and make Darth Vader a little bitch. I said it. Fanboy stuff. This is not meriting. Transformers The Last Night. Now, while that's near and dear to me, you know Optimus Prime is my guy, right? Now, you know you don't fuck with me when it comes to Transformers, and Michael Bay really fucked me over and bent me over, to quote Ice Cube, no Vaseline, right? It's fanboy shit. It's minutiae, stupid, bottom-of-the-barrel fanboy shit. I picked a movie which was actually good, and then fell off a fucking cliff with a plot hole that I can't unsee.
I know it. I'll let you continue.
Fell off a fucking cliff with a plot hole that dickheads like to say, oh, but if you read the book. So, no. Why, if that's so important, is it not in the movie? Republic Productions, hold on to your butts. Because my worst, Gone Girl. And I would like to say this. I love David Fincher. Love him. Love David Fincher. Big fan of Rosamund Pike. I think she is stellar in this movie. She's brilliant. I think the tension building in this movie is fantastic. The ploy, the manipulation that goes on into getting one over on her husband. Masterful. Ben Affleck, fucking shark eyes himself. He's actually quite good in this. Who knew? So how could this be my worst? She sets him up to get the whole fucking town, village, community believing that he's murdered her. That is the belief. Paparazzi invading the space. Fucking quote big man John Cena. The whole town believes he's guilty. He's got no way of proving his innocence. She fucking shows up and the whole town sees it at the end of the movie. Innocent. Proven. In that moment, he's innocent. There is no debate anymore. It's not, oh, did he, didn't he? The bitch is standing in front of you and the whole fucking town sees it. Why does he keep her? Oh, but she was pregnant. He doesn't know that yet. At that point, he doesn't know that yet. We had to get through a few scenes for him to tell her, for her to tell him, I'm pregnant. At that moment, in that period of time, she gets out the car. The whole fucking community is gathered around. He sees her. In that moment, he is proven innocent. He is vindicated. He is exhumed of any responsibility for what happens to her. And the baby doesn't count in this point. And I say this as a father. The baby doesn't count because he's not aware of the baby's fucking existence. It doesn't exist in his world. That baby doesn't exist yet. You need to get through a few scenes. So, no man, I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a fuck if you're someone who gets off on Star Wars Episode 3 romantic lines with a girlfriend. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a fuck if you're some lying motherfucker who says to me that they read Guardians of the Galaxy when most hardcore comic fans have never even heard of Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't care if you're some long motherfucker who wants to defend Armageddon as a masterpiece. I don't give a fuck who you are. You cannot argue logic. If you are accused of killing your wife then shows up and you are proven to be innocent, you do not take the bitch back. Not when you know that she's manipulated the whole situation. It's not like, I wonder why people think I murdered her. No. He's aware of what the fuck she's done to him. He just can't prove it. It's a very, very clever plan. What she's done to him is a stroke of manipulative genius. He has no way out of it. He is made to look like a murdering, wife-killing psychopath, and he can't prove otherwise. That is the genius of Rosamund Pike's plan in this film. The plan falls apart when she shows up. And knowing that she did this to him and put him through all this shit, no man takes her back after that. Fuck, man, no person takes their partner back after that. And the defense that most people have,
Yeah, but in the book, it was a lot more elaborate and they explain it. I don't give a fuck.
It needs depth. I agree. I can't dispute that. I can't dispute that. I actually think of something else that might have been your worst.
Please.
Despite all of that, which is a very good argument.
You can't argue it.
No, I'm saying you just
and I would like to preface. I will go back to my first point. The tone, the direction, the acting, the atmosphere, down to things like Finch's unique color grading. This movie's good. And then it falls off a fucking cliff. It cannot be explained.
Pain and Gain. I actually thought that might have been your worst.
Oh, we can talk about that.
No. It's been done, but I mean, you can if you want to, in case anyone's unfamiliar with the argument. Okay.
Hang on. He keeps her because if he shuts her down, everyone will turn on him and he can't prove that she did anything. You can break up with her and still be free from that. He keeps her because if he shuts her down, everyone... No. Why the fuck would people turn on him? People thought that she was murdered. They've just seen she's not murdered. They don't need to turn on him. He's fucking innocent at that point. Dead argument.
Even the only thing I can think is if he was meant to be implicated in the potential, like...
The movie goes out of its way to tell you the reason he takes her back is what I just said above. What you just said above. He keeps her because if he shuts her down, everyone will turn on him. No one has a reason to turn on him at the point where he's proven innocent. Dead.
Unless they believe he's an abductor of some sort. That's the only thing I can just about...
How? He stays at home for the entire fucking movie. He isn't able to leave his house. There's no way he can abduct her. She's the one who's done a runner. Dead. If he shuts her down, everyone will turn on him. Not when they realize that he's innocent. He doesn't even... The thing is, he doesn't even need to prove
while you're giving a bit of an explanation, guys, this is the time now. Your top 4 or your top 10 films, just before we announce our number ones while we're here on the worst. Just type them in right now. Would love to hear what your films are of the 21st century. I'd like to see also how hard and easy it was for you guys. Like when you put it down, just put like easy picks or hard. Because it wasn't easy for me.
I just want to go back. If he shuts her down, everyone will turn on him and he can't prove that she did anything. He doesn't need to. All he needs to do is prove that he didn't kill her. And by her showing up in front of the community, she does that for him. He doesn't need to keep her. He can now move away from the situation because if a fucking logical thinking person sees, well, we thought he killed his wife. There's the wife standing in front. Clearly, he didn't kill his wife. The town don't even need to know. He doesn't need to prove that she manipulated the whole thing. All he needs to prove is, hey, I didn't kill my wife. Here she is. Done. It's a dead argument. It's fucking stupid.
So he follows up with, they follow up with, wife fights her way back to him and turns on her.
And he turns her down.
Easy way to get the media to turn on him.
It doesn't matter. There would be half of the...
Here's the question, and I just want to be real with this. If by some weird way we found out that O.J. Simpson's wife wasn't dead, with that whole media frenzy that had gone on, so he's come out of the court case, or he's going into court and we just see her coming up as a witness or some shit like that, would you expect O.J. to take back his wife? Well, I think they might have been divorced, but you get the point I'm going with.
Completely. No, he's not taking her back. And no one's fucking turning on him because, oh, his wife's alive. OJ should take her back. Fuck you. Piece of shit fucking ending. And because it's the granular thing I've got going on in my brain where I need to make sure that the dots join. This is what pissed me off with Civil War, but I can bury that because it's a comic book movie, right? This was a good fucking movie until that ending, which no one can explain, as evidenced by the chat.
Fair play. Fair play.
See what I mean? Even the people who loved it, when I break this down, they're like, oh, but he had to take her back. No, he didn't.
But Andy asked a very good question. Just going into anything else, though.
Please.
Strong argument, but you have seen worse, right?
I cannot stress this enough. This was a good fucking film until it fell off a cliff for me. It's just a personal thing. The way that my annoying, stupid brain works, AJ can testify to this. When I can't unsee something, it kills it. I can't unsee it. It kills it for me, right? Elf is such a worse film. Transformers The Last Night, worst film. No Time to Die, worst film. David Fincher is a master fucking filmmaker. This was a good film. The reason it is personally my worst is because when you have built up something so, worst, Mobius, way worse film. Terribly made. When you have built up something so well, for it to literally fall apart like a fucking old man losing control of his bladder, it's pathetic. And the fact that based on the movies, you've just seen it now, someone who further up, as we're going to get to in a moment, puts Gone Girl as their number 3 film of the 21st century, they can't defend the shit I'm saying. And then the people who have read the book, they're like, oh yeah, but in the book it was better than the film. Cool. Then I'll go read the book and hopefully really enjoy it. I am talking about a movie. The plot of the movie, dead. Have I seen worse movies? Of course I have. But no movie has pissed me off more.
As much. I get that.
Because it's good. Because it's a fucking Fincher movie. Because all of the good things I mentioned it. For it to be so fucking flat like that at the end, nothing annoyed me more. Like, Revenge of the Sith was a piece of shit from start to finish. I'm like, okay, cool. Fuck unlimited power. Fuck the terrible dialogue. The whole movie's a fucking train wreck as far as I'm concerned. No Time to Die. It's like, well, yeah, fine. Fan shit. Civil War, fan shit. Transformers, The Last Night. It's like, I know this is going to be shit before I walk in. I'm fucking Bon Jovi-ing this, and I am living on a prayer that we get something good. It failed, of course, but this, for fucking 3/4 of the film, I was like, this is great. And then that happened. It's like, huh? What did you just do to me? I feel like someone's fucking like grabbed my balls and given me a fondle without my permission, you know? I haven't been raped, but I've been like touched inappropriately. It's like, no, get your hand off me. What the fuck are you doing? I'm a married man. You know what I mean?
I hear you, bro. I hear you.
I just feel violated by that film. I feel fucking emotionally violated by its lack of logic. And the fact that no one talks about this, I'm like, am I so weird that if I see a fucking murder plot where the person is proven innocent and then he takes the person who's framed him for murder back, am I the only motherfucker on the planet who goes, well, that's weird?
Here's a question from Harry's boy. Ever seen The Life of David Girl? That's got an ending equally as destructive. No, I haven't. I'd be interested to see if anyone else has. Then you put Matrix 4. That and Candyman were 2 very strong contenders.
Mm-hmm.
Candyman
Matrix 4 was awful. Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right, AJ, you're number 1, please, sir.
Right. So this is a bit of a weird one, but
I have no idea what you're going to pick.
I don't think you would.
Genuinely stumped.
As I said, I swapped it with Room. It's a film that the impact it had on me from watching was absolutely insane. So it goes back to my newfound love of
biopics.
Biopics, yeah. And it's Michael Keaton. Founder.
Yeah, boy. Go on, son. That's your top movie of the 21st century.
I mean, arguably, there's a chance to say something like Room, which I feel has been brought up a lot and what have you. But when I think of a film that... There's something about The Founder, right? More than any other film I can quote. And this is even going into like, okay, Bohemian Rhapsody, don't stop me now. Like, the music of Queen was... the passion was reignited. There's something about The Founder that when I'm talking to someone, if I was to mention a biopic, The Founder is the first to go to. And that, Hidden Figures, all of that stuff. When I think of the model, people getting screwed over, the character arc of you wanting to see Ray Kroc win, to absolutely despising this man at the closing scene, there's something about it that just, It has never left me. Watched it once, but it has never left me. You know, it leaves such an impression. Don't get me wrong. You call it the Ketonescence, you know, the comeback. You've got Birdman. You've got Spotlight.
Oh, I love that film. So hard to leave off.
Some great films that Michael Keaton's done. But him as Ray Kroc has just... It outdoes Jobs. It outdoes Social Network.
Yes.
Those have got some great stories. They have got some great stories. But there is something about the founder that just sticks with me. It's like a point of reference. It has never, ever left me. And when I look at it, and I was like, all right, I don't want to go with a blatant go-to number one. So yeah, maybe in another world, Rumors number one. Parasite could be. Like, lists are interchangeable for many reasons, you know.
Of course.
Like Snatch, near and dear for the longest while. If you're going to do Tenure, you know, Kill Bill. But there is the gold of this when it shows you the whole model of McDonald's, where you like it's something I was aware of. I've done business studies, I know what they do, but it's I wasn't aware that it's not the food, it's the investment in the land that they do. It's the way they highlighted the business model and showed, so these were the guys. This is why it's called McDonald's. This is why it's there. Everything behind it. The fact of when that bastard pulls out the card and shows McDonald's that says founder, and you're like, oh, like, how dare you? That anger, that hatred, that it's a golden movie. Yeah.
Whew. Considering you are Mr. Biopic, mate, I find myself compelled to not argue with you in this case. Other than maybe ranking the founder above Social Network, but hey, we are all different ultimately with what we choose. But
I love that film. I love that film. And if I were to play that game, there is a hype man in me that had seen Social Network first. Then during lockdown I rewatched those and Jobs and Steve Jobs to introduce these to my parents to see what they were about. And it was the founder that we had in unison of, oh my God, wow. Like, I don't know, but there's something about it.
So weird that we're in the world of biopics. You've been showing all the white boys to your parents, and my biopic...
no, we watched Straight Outta Compton.
I was about to say, because that's my biopic of the 21st century.
It was more for a business end, to be honest. I don't know. It was just quite motivating. Some of these stories.
It still hurts me that I haven't included Straight Outta Compton, bro. It hurts me so much.
I didn't do Notorious because I know last time no, but those ones. Hidden Figures. I must admit, Hidden Figures was another one I showed.
Good, not great. Good, not great to me.
But there was something. It's that it factor that the founder has it.
Here's a question: has it made it into your all-time top 10 now?
Again, bro, we come back to that very awkward question of what is a top 10. Like when we had great and favorite, best and favorites being brought up earlier.
Bro, I'll be the first to say that my top 10 of all time in the scope of doing 5 seasons of this podcast has changed.
I get it. I don't know. It may well do. I think Bohemian Rhapsody in many arguments is like an instant go-to for the good feels I get from it. But the founder
still makes me laugh that people think the movie's shit.
They talk about editing and inaccuracy in it, but
creative liberty in filmmaking.
Yeah. But there's something that, again, maybe, may well be. It would be hard for me to not think of the founder.
Fair enough, bro. I didn't know it was like that high for you, but respect. Gavin Mann's giving it to you too. Just when I think I know AJ, he goes and out AJ himself.
Thank you.
Francis Lalonde, # I'm with McAJ. AJ does like a McDonald's. I hate that shit, but I don't know why.
I'm not. Well, to be fair, I had one recently, but I'm not the guy. That shit.
But funnily enough, I had one recently just because I was in I'm not going to say where I was, but I was in the arse end of nowhere and there was nothing around. And sure enough, there was a fucking McDonald's and I'd missed lunch and it was like 3 hours past the missed lunch. I am like hungry. I'm like, I haven't eaten McDonald's for years, but fuck it. I'm going to have it. Bro, I felt so rough afterwards. It is sugar and paper. It is disgusting.
I believe it.
Grim. Mixed Memorabilia says, AJ, I've started The Founder a couple of times, but turned it off because I just felt this film is going to be brilliant, and I've made it a point to watch it in the right home cinema setting. Good for you.
Yeah, it deserves your attention. And that's another thing. It's not one of those films that I've wandered off on. It caught me. It had my full focus. So I agree with you there, Mixed Memorabilia. Make sure you're ready for it. You've got the time for it, and just drink it in, man. That's the best way I can word it.
Andy Hart says, Nico, have you seen the Alfred Hitchcock movie Suspicion? If not, watch it without reading anything about it and come back to me. It will all make sense when you see it. Okay, I haven't seen it, Andy. I'll check it out. Suspicion. Harry's boy says, wow, The Founder is number one. It was a good film and Keaton was great, but it didn't feel like an all-time classic.
Fair enough.
Andy Hart says, just imagining showing my parents Straight Outta Compton crazy motherfucker named Ask Cube. AJ, you need to say the next line. I'm not allowed to.
From a gang called no, we're trying to not get demonetized for once. It's tempting.
This scene, I have to say, if we're going to talk quickly Straight Outta Compton, this scene which supposedly inspired Fuck the Police is incredible. Where Jerry Heller has to come out and go, these are my guys. Like in that moment, you love Jerry, and then you fucking hate Jerry, right?
You know the part that it's not anti-Semitic in me at all, but I can't help but laugh when you see, because Jerry Heller's all good for them to say N throughout the whole thing, right? And not be like, guys, that's a touch racist. But when he drops a few lines in No Vaseline, that anti-Semitic motherfucker, I'll fucking sue him. How dare I can't help but laugh.
Yo, getting fucked by a Jew, boy. With no Vaseline. So good. But do you know, it's a scene which I think is gold, bro, that no one talks about enough. Easy motherfucking E. Cruising down the street in my 6'4". Like the way that they get him.
Finding that voice.
Finding that voice and giving it with the attitude. Oh, man. It fucking burns me that hasn't made it onto my template.
I mean, you still got one position if you want to go for it, bro. No, I know you'd never. I know you would never.
What did I tell you at the top of the show? The moment this list was announced, my one, lockdown. And it never
I've been watching the Big Bang Theory. And obviously, this franchise comes up quite a bit. And each time it comes up in an episode, I've just seen one where they're flashing something connected to a chain. And I'm like, this is so remixed. Like, I wasn't sure if La La Land was going to beat it. I'll be honest.
No.
This is it.
Fuck no. Fuck no. Republic Productions says, my worst is Pobs, Alien vs. Predator 2 or The Rise of Skywalker. I would listen to those. Mixed Memorabilia says, guys, have you watched Amy, Senna, and Maradona by Asif Kapadia? No. For me, these three films are genius documentary filmmaking without... Amy's brilliant. Maradona and Senna were good. Amy, I thought, was brilliant.
That's based on Amy Winehouse, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Andy Hart says, but would he have picked it if it was called Founder, not The Founder?
Welcome back, Andy. Welcome back.
Gavin Mann says, the thought of McDonald's is better than the feeling after McDonald's. Oh, so true. Oh, so true.
I maintain that.
Right, AJ, I'm just going to say the name and then I'm going to give my rundown of it. My number one, a lot of people have guessed it. You know what it is. My number one, yes, I'm cheating because it's a trilogy. I can really pick one if you want me to. The Lord of the Rings.
So it's the same way I went with Kill Bill and I said it's one continuous story.
It's one continuous story. If people really want to press me to pick one, for the sake of the argument I'm about to make, I'll go Return of the King. My personal favorite of the trilogy, probably The Fellowship of the Ring. I think that's the tightest of all three of the films. Not the most action-filled or the most necessarily the most entertaining, but as a film, I think it's the best made. So everyone knew I was going to pick Lord of the Rings. Let me give my reasons why. Obviously, it's known on the podcast how much I love this book, how much I love this film. It's my favorite book. It helped me through a lot of hard times. I loved to escape to Middle Earth when I was going through phases of drug addiction, phases of depression. Tolkien's work saved me in a lot of ways. It was very, very good for me. And these movies equally were very important to me. But now let me try. Ultimately, all of this is subjective. But attempting to speak a bit objectively about this. There are movies that come along that changed the game. You know, we've talked about Jurassic Park. We've talked about that moment, the first time Alan Grant sees the Brachiosaurus. And in that moment, cinema has changed forever. You realize that Steven Spielberg has taken you by the hand and gone, I got you. I'm going to show you something that will change your life. And it did. Jurassic Park changed my life, as it did for many people, because it elevated cinema to a level which people really didn't think it would ever get to. I mean, fuck, we did dinosaurs a few weeks ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
When you consider the god-awful drivel we got, and then you get Jurassic Park, it's like, Jesus Christ, different level of filmmaking, you know what I mean? When you consider that I mean, there's been some okay fantasy, and I'm not going to include Star Wars here, which is ultimately a fantasy, but, you know, space fantasy, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about, you know, traditional fantasy, dragons, elves, orcs, dwarves, you know, wizards, the whole traditional fantasy, Tolkien fantasy, if you will. Fuck me, it's been slim pickings. Jesus Christ. Like, the cinema, fantasy was bargain bucket stuff most of the time. And so, obviously, it completely transcended and also subverted its own genre. But for a genre movie to be as well made as this, for a genre movie to be as loved by both audiences and critics and the Academy, to the degree that this is now quantifiably the most successful critical film of all time. It is, fact, 12 Oscars. There are other films which have won 12 Oscars, two others, I believe, Titanic being one of them, and the other one's a Henry Fonda movie. I'm blanking on the name, don't shoot me. But this is equal to being the most critically successful film of all time. The fact that it managed to bridge a gap between super nerds like me and people who are not super nerds and who have never even read the books, like my mom, for instance, and were both enjoyed by all. The fact that it brought a book that people said it is not possible to do this in film. The fact that the scale of this production was like nothing that had ever been seen before. You know, that Battle of Helm's Deep that everyone talks about. Yes, they used some CGI to actually double up the volume. But you watch the making of documentaries, there was a huge amount of real people in real armor, in real prosthetics. You know, for all intents and purposes, real fucking orcs on set, yes? The way it changed the game with motion capture, Andy Serkis, who we spoke about, right? Cinema has never been the same. This film, much like Jurassic Park, much like Star Wars did, much like Jaws did, this film took cinema by the scruff of the neck, and it took it to a level which, yeah, the gap between Jurassic Park and Lord of the Rings wasn't that big. Obviously, it was 6 years, right? 93 to 2000. It took cinema to a level so much higher than most people thought it was ever reaching. Like, a production of this scale is not a once-in-a-generation thing, AJ. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And it's movie making, the likes of which is frankly the envy of most blockbuster filmmakers. And I'm not picking it specifically because it's a blockbuster. I'm picking it because in every sense of the word, Lord of the Rings breaks back barriers. It transcends genres. It elevates cinema. It gets critical acclaim and audience reception. It is the greatest trilogy of all time. And I believe, for all the reasons I've just said, categorically the greatest film of the 21st century. It has no equals.
Can't really argue. I mean, I think I sit with Den on this one. And I know what you're going to say. Come round to yours and watch it. I want to appreciate this film. Right? I want to appreciate this film. And the length, I feel, just kills it. I actually, in lockdown, I was like, this is the time. Like, this is it. And I remember putting it on, but again, we still do a pod. So it's hard. I made the awkward sight of actually starting with Hobbit first, because like chronologically, and I was like, I won't do that. Funny thing is, I didn't actually dislike the Hobbit.
I like The Hobbit, other than part 3. Nate Dermot's the one who doesn't like Hobbit. I actually think it's very good. It's not Lord of the Rings, though.
When it comes to Lord of the Rings, Fellowship with Everything, I'll start with that. I remember seeing is it Two Towers? Is the second one? Yeah, I saw that in the cinema. My cousin's dad at the time had tickets for a free cinema, and he's like, "Let's go see that." And we missed a bit, and I remember being invested. And I was like, "I actually want to see what number one can give me." There was too much information within number one that it's hard to digest. You're taking it on. They're going here, they're going there. And yeah, like where Den will be like, it's the long walk. It's like you're doing this, but you're meeting. There were too many people on this journey for me to just. It needs to be digested, and I think it's kind of like what Mixed Memorabilia is saying with the founder. I need to know. Maybe one of those weeks where you've got to be away, and I have no distractions. It's me and the TV. We're doing this shit. Like maybe that's what's needed.
So the reason I keep saying to watch it with me is for the reasons that you've just said. Something my mum told me, and I'm sure she was saying this to humor me because she's my mum and I'm her kid, obviously, but something my mum told me, and I believe there's an element of truth to this, which I'm about to say. When we walked out of seeing the Fellowship of the Ring, is she actually said, "I'm glad I got to see that with you so you could explain some things to me." Because you're quite right. Tolkien, and the books are even worse. Tolkien is notorious for inundating you with like set piecing and facts and characters. And the fact that everything's got 3 or 4 fucking different names doesn't help. The Nine, the Ringwraiths, the Nazgul, the Black Riders. It's like, yeah, they're all the same thing. It's like, well, why do they have 4 names? It's like, that my mum kept on asking me that. So who's that? Who's that? How are they related? Is that okay? This. Are we good? Yes, cool. Let's move on. It does help for a non-Lord of the Rings book reader to watch it with someone who has read Lord of the Rings, because this isn't a condemnation on the movies. No. It's not like they're filling in gaps. They don't do that. But it's, as you've said, there is such a like tsunami of characters and information that you almost, you're trying to work it all out. Meanwhile, the plot's fucking moving on. And you're like, what's happened? It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But brother, when you do,
there's a part of me that
cinema the likes of which 22 years on, I'm still waiting to experience. I've had some great cinema experiences. Nothing like Lord of the Rings. Nothing like Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is so good, people are fucking worried about this new Lord of the Rings series starting this Friday.
I must admit, I saw a picture. I was in Tesco and I saw a picture of Lenny Henry on the cover of the freaking Radio Times as a hobbit or an elf or whatever the hell he's meant to be. And I was like, oh my days, I don't know if this is going to work. Have you seen it?
Who's Lenny Henry?
The comedian. British comedian, bro.
Nah, sorry, man.
Yeah, it was just something, and I was like, oh dear. Like, I know I shouldn't, but it was just one of those weird moments in life where I was like, and this is what we're meant to be serious with. It just bugged me. I've just sent it to your phone if you are able to not get distracted. But yeah.
Let's have a bit. Fill the airspace, please.
Yeah, so right. Okay, let's go through with some questions and comments along the way. So this caught me earlier.
Oh, this dude. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Then asked me, AJ, what movie is the biggest part of your life? I think it goes back to if there are 2, and it's weird in the way that it was kick off for me. Back to the Future Part 2 is just something I remember seeing and always sticks to my head. It's like my instant go-to. Now, the other one, you may have a bit of laughter, but I would say it ignited who I am now. Batman Forever. Batman Forever being the film. No, but listen to laugh at it as you will. As I said, I can see where it comes. But what that film, I remember my godbrother was like, "Oh, you need to see this," and I remember watching it. And I was like, "It's cool." It had Jim Carrey, so I've got like my favorite superhero and Jim Carrey. Like it was everything for me at the time. It also opened up the world to me of why heroes weren't in different films. And I remember asking I met a guy called Charlie, and I said to him, why did you never see a film with Batman and Spider-Man? He's like, but they're DC and Marvel. And that is what ignited me to go deep. It's what created me into writing a script that may never see the light of, well, probably will never see the light of day, right? And it created a passion in me to study film, to love film, and not just take it as a pastime of something on TV. It made me learn how to write a script. It made me read, like, Wikipedia became my friend in finding out the history of who the hell Iron Man was. Like, I knew who he was. I'd just about seen a couple of cartoons on Fox. It was all these different elements that made me say, I really like film. So much so that I wrote a script. It then led me to study film in uni. Didn't work out the way I wanted it to, but that's a different story. It had that passion of wanting to know what's there in film. Take it that bit further. Even try. I'm not as deep as Nick, I'm not going to lie, but into camera work. All those different elements. It just had me thinking, this is an interesting thing, and for how important film actually was to me. So that's why those two are up there for me in terms of film.
I mean, I've just mentioned Lord of the Rings as being one of my most important movies. Jurassic Park's there.
Yeah, no, Jurassic Park is another. Jurassic Park is the only film I can say I have seen multiple times in a cinema.
Really?
The only film.
Oh.
Bro, I've always been tied up in a lot of shit. So even when I had the Cineworld card, I was just too busy to be able to say I can go and watch this film 3 times. Do you know what I mean? It just wasn't there. However, Jurassic Park, by appreciation, but by default, just happened to be a film that went to see it with my uncle. Then my parents wanted to see it. Then my aunt wanted to see it, so I went to see it with my parents and my aunt. Then it was like a weird mellow that I think all 4 of us we went with aunt, uncle, and everyone. Like, it just really, yeah, it just really touches that way. So yeah, Jurassic Park is also
it is life altering. It really is life altering cinema. And I put Lord of the Rings in that category for me. It's cinema that's unlikely to ever be replicated again. Right? I know people know how good Lord of the Rings is, whether they like it or not. They still, Pedro is an example just now in the chat, was like, it's not for me, but fuck me, I can see the craft and dedication, and it's insane and admirable. Like, people, even they don't like Lord of the Rings, know, yeah, that's a fucking movie, right? Even with that recognition, I still don't think people give this movie the credit it deserves. Even with the huge credit that it gets, I think it's deserving of even more. I don't think what's wrong with my eye here?
I can't see a thing, actually. But
I don't think we are ever going to see a movie like this in our lifetime again. I don't.
You know the problem? It's being groundbreaking. Because with that, and some people will say never, some will call blasphemy. Warcraft was a perfectly good presented movie. However, no, but listen to the argument that I'm going to bring up. It came after Lord of the Rings, and because of that, everyone was like, "It's a knockoff Lord of the Rings." Granted,
which it is.
Origins of Warcraft. It may be, it may not be. I'm not going to get into that argument again.
It is,
but you get what I'm saying. Because of that, anything that you develop in that era or with that kind of mythology will always be compared to the original.
Oh, I've always said it. Like, Lord of the Rings transcended fantasy and destroyed fantasy. Like, and you imagine you've like got this amazing fantasy script, whether it's an original IP or based off of a beloved fantasy book. You take it to a Hollywood studio, you know for sure they're going to say, "Yeah, but is it Lord of the Rings?"
But this is the thing. It's the same. It's the same with your T-shirt, Jaws. The Shallows is a perfectly good film, but people say it's not Jaws. Do you get what I'm saying? It's that there are those that will be the defining moment of a specific genre or theme. And that's what Lord of the Rings has done.
And that is actually why, even more so, that it's my number one. Because when you've created a movie that is so fucking good and so vast in its scale and so well received that everyone else just runs for the hills in fear, I mean, that speaks volumes.
I get that, bro.
All right. Let's do it.
Right, okay, here we go. There are a load of comments, guys, but we are at 307. Always a special number to me. Right.
Big episode.
Yeah, so here we go. Republic Productions top 10 is Casino Royale. The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight, yeah. Gone Girl, In Bruges, The Incredibles,
Nice.
Logan, Skyfall, Mission Impossible, Fallout, No Country for Old Men. Nice top 10.
Very nice top 10.
Tucky says Batman Begins, Casino Royale, The Departed, X2. Nice. Hi, Tucky. First comment I think we've seen from you. X2, Hot Fuzz, X-Men First Class, Warrior, Spider-Man, Avatar, After Christmas. I haven't seen After Christmas. Okay, interesting.
Love for Avatar, I like that.
Come again?
Love for Avatar, I like that.
I was wondering if there would be. I was shocked that it didn't make you. Well, definitely not going to make mine.
No.
Riri Thomas says 10 Saw, 9 Skyfall, 8 Monster, 7 There Will Be Blood, 6 Hacksaw Ridge, 5 Gladiator, 4 Batman The Dark Knight, 3 The Social Network, 2 The Fighter, and number 1 Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings. Yeah. Nathaniel Bourne says Paddington 1 and 2. Do you know what? I was going to do Paddington because I've all the hype.
Paddington's good, man.
So here's the thing. My mum is not a film person. My mum calls me one day and goes, "Have you watched Paddington? It's really good." And when you see The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, you'll understand another reason why Paddington is something I need to watch. I'm just going to leave it there.
That is this year, isn't it? I'm not going cuckoo. I've lost all sense of time.
I need
to fucking find it.
Remember, I showed it to you. It's on Amazon. So I saw it in the cinema, but it's on Amazon. I think it's free. I pressed the button and I think it's there for free. I was shocked. Nathaniel Bourne Pro Wrestling says Paddington 1 and 2, No Country for Old Men, The Courier, Le Mans 66 are my top 5, and my
Le Mans is a fucking great shout. Respect to you, Nathaniel, for bringing that up.
And Alien vs Predator 2 is Nathaniel's worst. Chris Trengrove says, I gotta get going, lads. So here's my Rushmore of the 21st century. 1 Lord of the Rings, 2 Mulholland Drive, 3 There Will Be Blood, 4 Spirited Away. Nice.
Spirited Away, my man, with a Ghibli in there. Love it.
And Francis Salon says, Axel Dudes, my somewhat Rushmore, Captain Marvel. Yeah, interesting. Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow, War of the Planet of the Apes, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. That's the one that's eluded me. I've not seen that yet.
Ooh, the Battle of the Pelennor Fields is something to behold. Jesus Christ. You thought Helm's Deep was big. You ain't seen shit.
Okay, guys. So thank you very much for that. Really appreciated that. That was really interesting. And thank you.
Was that all 13, yeah?
That's the ones. I went from top to bottom, bro. I literally scrolled them all.
You did YG?
Did I not?
No, bro. No, I've got. Hang on. You done Miri, you done Nathaniel, you done Chris, you done Francis, Andy Hart, Old Boy, Mulholland Drive, No Country for Old Men. I don't know, mate. No Country for Old Men, Mad Max Fury Road, Lost in Translation, City of God, The Dark Knight, Pan's Labyrinth, Sicario, Children of Men.
God, I did. Harry's Boy. I completely missed the whole load. Sorry.
Missed the load. Harry's Boy says Mulholland Drive, No Country for Old Men, There Will Be Blood, Zodiac. These all come to mind quite quickly. Nice choices, Harry's Boy. Mixed Memorabilia, very difficult. City of God, Memories of Murder, In the Mood for Love, Snatch, There Will Be Blood. Are you seeing City of God and There Will Be Blood and Lord of the Rings and The Dark Knight coming up again and again and again and again and again and again? Yeah, I think we've already got our Rushmore, but let's see. Old Boy, Passion of the Christ, Senna, The Lunchbox, Gangs of Wasseypur.
Guys, by the way, apologies again for missing these. I don't know what I was doing.
Gavin Mann says, No Order Top 10, The Hunt, Infernal Affairs, Her, Amelie, Toy Story 3, hurt me to leave that off. Snatch, Old Boy, The Raid, hurt me to leave that off. The Whiplash, Whiplash, The Fall. Pedro Sanctos says, again, There Will Be Blood, Children of Men, again, City of God, The Social Network. Tucky says, in no order, Batman Begins, The Departed, Hot Fuzz, Spider-Man, X2, X-Men First Class, Warrior, Arthur Christmas, Avatar, Casino Royale. And YG says, no order, top 10, Amores Perros, Snatch, Collateral, Memories of Murder, The Hurt Locker, The Departed, Catch Me If You Can, Inglourious Bastards, Mulholland Drive, and Downfall.
Catch Me If You Can was burning me to leave off, if I'm honest. I was like, 2 heavyweights just really going for it. And Spielberg, one of the last great Spielberg.
Got Nico.
Right.
I mean, I think it's pretty bait what the Rushmore is, to be honest.
Just say it. Just I'll have to write it again.
So it's. Hang on, let me put it to you in the private chat quickly. Write it down in your phone, obviously. But look, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously. And what was the last one? Obviously. Those 4 came up again and again and again and again and again. And to be honest, they're probably the 4 that I would bat for.
Just give me the full thing of the third one, please. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Fair enough. I'll go with it. I'm surprised that it gets that much love, though.
Bro.
In a weird way.
Game recognizes game.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
Are we ready to do this?
Let's do it.
No debate, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Episode 200, the Movie Mount Rushmore Podcast. AJ, it's been a pleasure with you to do this ride, my man. Here's to another 200. The official Movie Mount Rushmore of movies of the 21st century in no particular order is
Lord of the Rings.
Our second entry is
The Dark Knight.
Our third entry is
City of God.
Our final entry into the Movie Mount Rushmore of 21st century movies is
There Will Be Blood. Okay, guys, that's a pretty intense list. I'm interested to. So, Pedro, I just saw your question. Should you specify
Return of the King?
If you wanted to, or I'm willing to accept it as one long story. And it was just could never be in the cinema at one given time, could it? So, yeah.
I would.
No, but I mean, they wouldn't have released it in one give and go. Like, yeah, here's a 9-hour film for the cinema, guys. Like, it's not going to happen.
So let me ask you this, because Pedro, you've just brought it up. Andy, you're bringing it up. Let me ask you guys, what Lord of the Rings film, if we had to pick one, would you recommend putting in? Are you with me in thinking Return of the King? Are you thinking Two Towers? I'm imagining no one's going to pick Fellowship.
Instinctively, I was thinking Fellowship. I could be wrong. Again, it's just what comes to my mind. If I ever read Lord of the Rings, that's what's going to come to my mind straight away.
Andy, I'm with you. Fellowship is the best of the three. Yeah. I'm with you. It is the best of the three. But Fellowship.
Fellowship.
Francis says
Return, though.
I'm surprised there's love for the Fellowship. I thought I was on a small island of people who thought that was the
I
best
leave it
one.
up to you if you want to make it one or if you want to make it. Pedro said first.
Yeah, Republic Production says Return of the King. Like, for the critical acclaim, I think you have to go Return of the King, don't you? I'll discuss that with JT. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Next week's topic.
You know what? At first, I thought it was difficult. Now they've come to me really hard. It's just one film that's left for me.
Oh no, mine's a piece of piss. So easy. I haven't decided what order they're in yet, but what the movies are. So fucking easy. No, I have decided what my number one is actually.
To me, it felt like a given and a bit of a spoiler. It was based on my worst this week, but I don't know. It may change.
Funnily enough, none of the worsts I mentioned are on there, which is weird. But I'm going with a bit of a different vibe. So, guys, the topic next week is kind of the sequel to this epic 3-hour experience you've been through. I hope it was epic. It's the sequel. The sequel next week, episode 201, the most overrated movies of the 21st century. Equally difficult.
It wasn't for me. At first it was, because I was like, it's all a matter of perspective. Then the film started rolling in, and I was like, oh, fuck, yeah. Oh, fuck. Oh, yeah. Like, when it hit me like that. So here's a spoiler. It's not on my list. But if you Google it, considering it's just made the Rushmore, There Will Be Blood is actually listed as an overrated film.
I can understand that.
I was shocked when I read that.
There's a lot of people who would not appreciate it. They're not wrong. It's just different. Gavin Man says, can you see that coming to blows? Pedro Sanctos says, Parasite is one of the most overrated films. Fish fucking. That's all I'll say.
Mixed memorabilia, 3 billboards for them.
Oh! Oh, shit.
Dear.
Overrated is a tough one. Overrated is a very tough.
Okay. Oh, I thought you was reading it.
Yeah.
Right. This is a good point, Pedro.
Correct.
Overrated doesn't mean bad. Parasite.
Correct.
I agree, and there were some that I felt is subjective. These I think are overrated because I think they're shit. There may be one that I'll be like, I actually don't appreciate it, but most of this list, I'm thinking absolute crap. Right.
Republic Production says the most overrated, probably Pirates of the Caribbean. Den the Tech, you behave. I see you saying Lord of the Rings is overrated. It's not. Andy Hart says Gladiator is overrated. Interesting. Okay.
I get that. Trust me, I get that.
I don't. Gladiator is fucking great.
I don't hate it, but the hype behind it, followed by when I saw it, I was like, okay.
I know I'm going to piss people off next week.
Here's a question for you from YG. Had The Green Mile been released 25 days later, would it have made it into your top 10?
You already know the answer to this, yes?
I know, but just letting.
Of course.
Okay.
Wrap it up, my friend.
Okay, guys. So, thank you all for joining us on this journey. 001 has actually listened to officially 200 episodes. So, thank you to
Gavin,
you.
man, we're talking to you.
Anyone else who has done that, even if you've done 10 episodes, guys, we thank you. The fact that you have come back really means a lot to us. So I'm doing the Moshi stuff as I always do, but thank you. Please, as always, do just spread the word because we're trying to grow this. For it'll be amazing to just be able to say 200 400 episodes, 400 live viewers watching. Do you know what I mean? It'd be awesome.
Oh, great, yeah.
It would be nuts to do, but that's the one. So, guys, just thank you once again. If you do know people who are after a good podcast, they've got no time.
A long
podcast. Just let them know that the Silver Screen Dudes are available on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, TuneIn, Stitcher, GeoSavin, and just look for Movie Mount Rushmore. We are there as well as on the YouTube platform.
And as well as thanking my co-host for being on this 200 episode ride with me, and as I said, here's to another 200. I want to, it's since that James Bond review and Den the Tech. So shout out to you two who made the suggestion of hey, just do the episodes live. It's been, look, our numbers are not astronomical. The channel is a tiny channel, but we're here for a bit of fun. It's a vanity project at the end of the day. We're not looking to be millionaires out of this, and it seems you guys are all along for the ride with us. So. Dan the Tech, Republic Productions, Tucky, Riri Thomas, Nathaniel Bourne Pro Wrestling, Chris Trengo, Francis Lalonde, Andy Hart, Harry's Boy, Mixed Memorabilia, Gavin Mann, Pedro Sanctos, Tucky, YG, Frank Torres if you're listening, St. Jackie if you're listening, August Fernandez Britos if you're listening, Ashley Beasley if you're listening, all of the people who have not made it.
Extra special shout out as well.
Please.
JT. It's come to a point now where it's a bit like Venom. We are symbiotic. I'm sure JT does his own tweets and stuff go down. Obviously, I can't look because of the nature of the game. But that relationship that each week we are able to post over our Rushmore and that consistency of I will take your Rushmore and put it out for people to vote for.
Yeah,
it's something. It has attracted viewers for us and listeners and vice versa. We put a couple of people JT's way, but more to the fact. It helped build this family that we've got right here. So for that, JT, at Movie Pulse for you, We Love Movies, nothing but love and thank you as well.
Nothing but love. Big shout out to JT. Big shout out to all of you guys. Thank you so much for joining us as always. Last little punty plug. If you do actually want to keep supporting us, you know what to do, guys. Head on over to buymeacoffee.com/movie dudes. Whether you're listening on podcast or watching us live, the link to that is in the description below. We are going to be reinvesting that money when we hit a benchmark into getting some new tech to make all of this look silky smooth. But guys, until then, I'm Nico Lurot.
I'm the one AJ, Anthony Jordan.
And we will see you next week for episode 201 to our 3rd century of movies. It begins.